Chapter 98. They finally tidied themselves up. After a while, Tamura Nobuharu brought the ginger soup over. Xiao Xiao had the demonic energy protecting him, so he was fine. However, he was too embarrassed to refuse, so he drank a big bowl and sweated all over. The others also drank some. After drinking a bowl of hot ginger tea, they finally drained some of the day's fatigue through sweat. Shinho had already made the beds. Miss Zhang, Xiao Xiao, we can still share a room with 3 people tonight, but it seems that we'll have to squeeze in tomorrow night. No matter what, this bunk is quite spacious. Xiao Xiao looked at it with disdain. He had no choice but to suffer. Xiao Xiao, Shinho, this is the first time you've lived in such a difficult place. I really didn't expect that our lives in the city would be so prosperous. It's also the first time I've seen a place that's centuries away from us. However, this also proves that we've come to the right place. This is the target of poverty alleviation. Next, I'll have to discuss with Tamura Nobuharu how we'll arrange the classes. You two need to think about it. After all, the children in the village have a weak foundation. The classes have to be interesting. Otherwise, they won't be able to listen, and it won't help them in their future studies. Our main goal is to be a key for them to explore knowledge. We'll open a door for them. After they enter, it'll depend on their own efforts. Shinho was a typical good student. Don't worry, teacher. I'm mentally prepared. Xiao Xiao nodded. I'll work hard. Xiao Xiao had never taken care of a child before, so he didn't know what a child would like. When the time came, he would improvise. After a while, Miss Zhang went out to look for Tamura Nobuharu to discuss matters related to poverty alleviation. Xiao Xiao and Shinho sat in the room staring at each other. Since they had nothing to do, they decided to go out for a walk. They lived in the south of the village. The whole village was not very big, and they could see the end of it at a glance. They strolled around the village. Perhaps it was because the whole village knew about their heroic deeds, so they received a lot of smiling faces along the way. Just as the driver had said, most of the people here were old people and children. Young people, and even middle-aged people were rare. A group of children ran over and surrounded the two of them, asking questions. They had never seen anyone as handsome as Xiao Xiao. Brother, your eyelashes are so long. Brother, you look so good when you smile. Brother, are you a celebrity? Brother, why is your nose bridge so high? Big brother, can you squat down? I can't even see your face. The children stretched out their hands, wanting to touch Xiao Xiao's face. Xiao Xiao had never taken care of children before. At first, he forced a smile on his face, but later, the group of children chattered so loudly that it gave him a headache. Gradually, he couldn't smile anymore. His face was very precious. He couldn't just let anyone touch it, not even children. Shinho answered their questions very patiently. Later, the children basically surrounded Shinho, but the person they wanted to get close to was still Xiao Xiao. They kept talking to Shinho, but they kept glancing at Xiao Xiao. As they spoke, they somehow managed to shift the topic to the Empress. The goddess is our protector. She manages everything here. If we are in a drought, we pray to the goddess, and the goddess will give us rain. If there is too much rain, we pray to the goddess again, and the goddess will make the sun appear again. The goddess is very magical. She is very powerful. If anyone in the village is sick, pray to the goddess, and the goddess will send someone to cure them at night. The goddess lives in the mountain in the east. The feng shui there is the best. The children chattered incessantly, all of them wearing expressions of worship. Shinho and Xiao Xiao looked at each other. It seemed that they had been brainwashed by the elders in the village. At that moment, someone ran over from the other side. You two are here. The village chief wants you to eat. The two looked. Sure enough, they were chatting with the children, and didn't pay attention to the time. They saw that the setting sun in the distance had become a less dazzling red ball. Now it was slowly setting down the mountain, leaving only a small part of it outside. Xiao Xiao took out his phone and looked. It was 6 o'clock. There was no mobile signal next to the time. This was really a village isolated from the rest of the world. Let's go and eat first. They didn't eat at the village chief's house, but at Daniel's house. Big Head's house was slightly more spacious than the one they had stayed in before, but it was still very simple. Before the sky turned dark, They moved 2 tables to the yard. Daniel's grandma smiled and said, "Benefactors, it's too dark in the house. Let's eat outside." Daniel's grandfather also greeted them and asked them to sit with the village chief. "Teachers, thank you so much for saving our family's Daniel. Otherwise, I really don't know how to explain it to his parents. When I came back, I asked the old woman to make a few dishes. These are the best dishes that our family can make. Please don't dislike them. Of course, they can't be compared to the people in the city, but they can fill your stomach." After Xiao Xiao entered and sat down, he saw a big bowl in front of each of them. Each bowl was filled with a bowl of porridge. It was so thin that one could see the reflection of the people in it. There were also 2 side dishes on the table. One was pickled radish, and the other was pickled vegetables. The amount of food was very large. It was placed in 2 small bowls and took up half of the table. Then there were steamed buns. There were more than 10 of them in the steamer. Wait a moment. We still have some vegetables in the field. The old woman is cooking. Today, she must add an extra dish for you. Daniel's grandfather said honestly. Tamura Nobuharu said happily. I also benefited from it. Teachers, please don't dislike it. Our village basically doesn't have any meat. We mainly eat vegetables. Because we are mausoleum keepers, Daniel's family can take out so many side dishes. This is enough for them to eat for 3 months. When Xiao Xiao and the others heard this, they suddenly felt that it was a little difficult to swallow. It was not that they disliked the food, but they really could not bear to finish 3 months of food in one go. Miss Zhang quickly changed the topic. How's Daniel? He's basically fine. He drank the ginger soup and fell asleep. The few of them chatted and slowly finished the meal. Xiao Xiao drank water until he was full. These side dishes and steamed buns were really not to his taste. He remembered that he still had some snacks in his bag. He planned to go back and eat. They ate until the sun went down. When the sky was dark, the few of them finally returned to their house. They turned on the only light bulb in the house and began their days of staring at each other. They were really not used to it at night. There was no phone or TV. They couldn't even read or go out to wander. Xiao Xiao saw Shin Ho take out a book and read it with the help of the phone's flashlight. Miss Zhang praised. 3rd-year students are really different. Xiao Xiao, did you bring a book? Xiao Xiao did bring a book, but he wanted to go to a place with the most spiritual energy to cultivate. I brought one too. Then I'll go back to my room to read first. Okay, then we'll go back to our rooms and rest early. Don't run around at night. Xiao Xiao returned to his room and sat cross-legged on the bed. He felt the surging spiritual energy around him. Xiao Xiao, I feel that something is calling me. Xiao Xiao had already entered a meditative state when a voice suddenly appeared in his mind. He listened carefully and found that it was Kong Ming talking to him. What is calling you? A supreme power. Xiao Xiao, it must be a book. I can feel it. It's a book that can make my soul tremble. Kong Ming's voice began to tremble. You must find a way to get it. With it, you can reach the sky in a single bound. Is it that exaggerated? It's true. I swear on my 10,000 years of spiritual knowledge that this is definitely a treasure book. I can feel that this book has been soaked in the blood of millions of people. You're speaking so politely. What do you mean? Can it still be read after being soaked in blood? Kong Ming rolled his eyes in the space. What I mean is that countless people have been sacrificed in order to snatch this book. Haven't you been looking for a secret martial arts book? I have a hunch that it's the master you're looking for. Xiao Xiao became interested. Then let's go. You lead the way and we'll go take a look. Okay. Kong Ming saw that Xiao Xiao had agreed. He excitedly jumped up and down in the space like a monkey. East, east, just go straight east. Xiao Xiao had already heard a lot of east today. Damn, you're not talking about that Empress's tomb, are you? You want me to rob the tomb? I don't know where it is. I only know that it's in that direction. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. With your cultivation, why are you afraid of these things? Kong Ming kept urging him. Xiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. Her cultivation was still quite good. Dealing with some demons and monsters was not a problem. Okay, let's go. At night, the mountain was even quieter. Occasionally, one could hear a few dogs barking. The cold wind blew the thatch on the roof. As soon as Xiao Xiao went out, he felt a bone-chilling cold. Fortunately, he had the protection of demonic qi. Otherwise, he would have been frozen into ice dregs. The cold house made the villagers automatically choose to go to bed early. They huddled under the quilt and hugged the hot water bag. No one knew what they were doing. After Xiao Xiao quietly went out, he saw that it was pitch black. The clouds were very thick, completely covering the moon. The only light came from the few lamps in the village. Xiao Xiao walked to the east. After bypassing the village, he entered a large grassland. It was bleak and desolate. The grass was half the height of a person. Xiao Xiao casually found a branch on the ground and used it to brush the grass and explore the way. Kong Ming kept reminding him of the route in his mind. He kept walking forward. His tall and straight figure was hidden in the grass. Only a black shadow could be seen. From afar, he had broad shoulders and narrow hips. His slender figure was like a hero walking in the grassland in comics. He only lacked a straw hat. Xiao Xiao walked happily. The original chill had long disappeared. He was sweating all over. Are we almost there? Almost there. It should be the mountain in front. Kong Ming became more and more excited in the space. Looking at the distant eastern mountain, Xiao Xiao estimated that he would arrive in half an hour. He looked at his phone. Time passed so quickly. It was 1 second to midnight. 1 second later. Dang dang dang. Chapter 99. Hearing the sound, Xiao Xiao abruptly stopped. He instinctively crouched down in the grass and lowered his head. Dang dang dang. The sound came from afar again. Someone's here. Xiao Xiao slightly raised his head and looked in the direction of the sound. Huh? Why is there nothing? However, the sound kept on coming closer and closer. Soon it was right in front of him. Xiao Xiao was also disturbed by the strange sound, but he wasn't afraid. He had seen many things in the 6 realms, so he didn't know what it was. Soon, the sound arrived in front of him. In the blink of an eye, it passed by. Xiao Xiao blinked, and the sound was still on the right. After another blink, the sound was on the left, bringing with it a gust of evil wind. This gust of wind was evil. It didn't blow in a straight line. Instead, it circled around Xiao Xiao and drifted away with the sound. Shit, I've been discovered. Xiao Xiao knew that this thing wasn't simple. Run. Xiao Xiao ran like a duck. At the same time, his demonic aura surged. He didn't use spirit concealment to hide himself. The surrounding grass was instantly turned into a circle of barren land by a wave of demonic aura. As he ran, the area of barren land became bigger and bigger. A path automatically opened behind Xiao Xiao. Kong Ming continuously cheered Xiao Xiao on in the space. Wow, you brought your own road roller. So cool. Xiao Xiao's escape was indeed a wise choice. She watched as the demonic wind followed the path that Xiao Xiao had paved, creating a vortex on the ground. Kong Ming also saw it. He jumped up and down in the space and shouted, "Run! It's catching up." Xiao Xiao saw that the demonic wind was indeed blowing strongly behind her. She decided not to run anymore. Instead, she turned around, and a wave of demonic qi rose from her hand. She erected an iron wall in front of Xiao Xiao. The evil wind couldn't stop in front of the iron wall. With a bang, it slammed into the wall, followed by the sound of vomiting blood. Ah, it was over. Silence returned to the surroundings, and even the clanging sounds disappeared. Xiao Xiao rubbed his nose. It seemed that he had used too much strength. How did he end up killing someone? He walked to the open ground and found a small branch lying in the middle of the road he had opened up. It was now withered, its whole body was black, and its leaves had shrunk. So it was a small tree spirit. It seemed that there were quite a few things in this mausoleum that had become spirits. At this time, Kong Ming said from the space, "Don't worry about him. Let's go quickly. That thing is calling for me again." Xiao Xiao had the same thought. Time passed so quickly. It took him several hours to reach the foot of the mountain. They still had to help the poor tomorrow morning, so they couldn't delay it. Since Xiao Xiao already knew that there would be small demons here, he no longer hid his strength. He released his devil qi and quickly flew above the weeds. East Mountain looked different from East Mountain from afar. From afar, it looked like an ordinary mountain, but when they got closer, they found that every place seemed to have been tidied up. A scenery every 3 steps, a forest every 7 steps. The whole mountain was disorderly and picturesque. It really is the Empress's tomb. The design was so thorough, Kong Ming praised. The whole of East Mountain was like a woman's boudoir. Everything was arranged in picturesque disorder. Every place reflected the thoughts of a young woman. And in the middle of the boudoir, there was the shape of a woman. Up close, the woman was very lifelike. Every part of her body, every depression, and even the little dimples on her face could be faintly seen. It was clear how much the person who had built this mausoleum for her loved her. Kong Ming, who do you think built this mausoleum for her? Who else could it be? It has to be her lover. I don't think so. It could be her parents. The whole of East Mountain looks like an unmarried girl. Look over there, there is a tree hanging down. Doesn't it look like a woman's long hair? Kong Ming carefully looked through the space. It does look like it. What you said makes sense. If it was in ancient times, women would have long hair after marriage. Okay, let's hurry up. Where's the entrance? Xiao Xiao saw that it was getting late and urged Kong Ming. How would I know? The book is calling me. He didn't tell me where to go in. Kong Ming scratched his head and said with some distress. What do you want me to say about you? You're really a bookworm. You don't think things through at all. Xiao Xiao was speechless. He could only look up and down himself. Xiao Xiao ran from top to bottom, left to right, but he couldn't find the entrance anywhere. Kong Ming, there's no entrance anywhere. How do we go in? The entrance to a tomb is definitely very difficult to find. It's recorded in the ancient books. Moreover, many tombs have been sealed off to prevent outsiders from robbing them. How could they let you find them so easily? Then what do you think we should do? Did you sense anything? I did sense it. When you were running, there was a call that was a bit softer, and a call that was a bit louder. Then why didn't you remind me? Do you want me to run again? Xiao Xiao rolled his eyes. This stupid teammate. Kong Ming carefully said. Why don't you run again? I'll sense it again. He patted his chest and said, this time I'll definitely do it. And so under Kong Ming's command, Xiao Xiao ran left, right, up, down. Finally, he stopped halfway up a mountain. Where is this? Why does it look so strange? In front of Xiao Xiao's eyes, there was a hemispherical stone. On top of the stone, there was a very small round stone. Not far from him, there was another tidy scene that was exactly the same. Xiao Xiao, yes. It's here. Go touch the small stone, and see if there's any reaction. You want me to touch it? Xiao Xiao looked at it for a long time and said through gritted teeth. Yes, touch it. The reaction is the strongest here. I really want to beat you to death. What do you mean by the strongest? Do you know where this is? Xiao Xiao hated Kong Ming so much that he wanted to kick him 3 times. Where is this? This bookworm completely didn't understand the situation. Xiao Xiao made a gesture with his hands hanging in the air. He half clenched his palms, and then moved them up and down. Kong Ming was dumbfounded. What are you doing? Why is this action so wretched? You're the wretched one. Your whole family is wretched. I'm just telling you which part this is. Kong Ming suddenly understood. Oh, I know. So it's that part. Why isn't she wearing any clothes? Xiao Xiao really wanted to twist his head off. Is this the main point? Are you sure it's from here? I'm just sure that the reaction is the strongest here. If you don't want to use your hands, you can use your feet. Xiao Xiao thought about it. It was awkward to use his hands. He couldn't help but complain. Why isn't she wearing any clothes? What's the point of doing this? He directly used his feet to knock on the small round stone twice. There was no response. He knocked twice more, but there was still no response. No reaction. It shouldn't be from here. It can't be wrong. My reaction is the strongest here. Don't knock with your feet. Just twist it with your hands. I looked at it like a switch. Xiao Xiao looked at the round stone that looked like a grape. Why is it so smooth? It looks like a natural jade. He picked up a leaf from the side and covered it with it. He gently twisted it with his hands. It looks like a dragon's head. He gently twisted it open. It looks like there's a way. Xiao Xiao continued to use more strength, and twisted it to the bottom. A rumbling sound rang out, and Xiao Xiao hurriedly retreated. She saw that between the 2 oars, a small door had opened up in the mountain. At this time, Kong Ming's reaction suddenly became stronger. It's here. It's here. The voice calling me suddenly became louder. Xiao Xiao looked at the dark entrance. It was very small, and could only fit one person. Xiao Xiao released a wave of demonic energy, and probed the entrance. After probing for a while, there was no reaction. It looked like there was no danger for now. Let's go down. After entering the cave, a wave of cold wind hit him in the face. There were stairs winding down from the cave. Kong Ming commanded in Xiao Xiao's mind. Left, right, up, down. Your senses are quite accurate. You even know where to go. Xiao Xiao was a little incredulous. I also find it a little strange. Originally he didn't move, but now he seems to be playing with me. He keeps going up and down, left and right. Then I can only let you follow his footsteps. Xiao Xiao was speechless at Kong Ming's words. It was so dark inside that he couldn't see anything. Xiao Xiao used demonic energy to explore as he walked. It was relatively safe along the way. He didn't see any traps. Shouldn't there be traps in a tomb? Why is it so quiet? We haven't reached the tomb yet. We're just walking around the periphery, Kong Ming replied. How do you know? Xiao Xiao couldn't help but find it strange. According to my calculations, this mountain is a few hundred meters deep. We're only around 50 meters now. Do you think we've entered the tomb? Nerd spoke with data. Okay, I'll believe you for now. What should we do now? Wait. He stopped. It's on your left. Pounce on it. Xiao Xiao listened to Kong Ming's words. Out of his trust in this nerd, he pounced to the left without thinking. Ouch. A voice came from below Xiao Xiao. You're crushing me. Quick, grab him. Kong Ming said anxiously. He's a psychic. Xiao Xiao grabbed below without thinking. He couldn't see anything. He didn't know which part it was. It was a little like a head. It was hard, and also a little like a shoulder. But he finally grabbed it. The childlike voice from below sounded again. Why are you grabbing me? Let go of me. You're a psychic. Yes, I'm a psychic. What's wrong? Am I interfering with your business? Come with me. Why should I go with you? Yes, why should he go with me? Kong Ming answered quickly. Psychic should be with psychic. Tell him that he's my long-lost child. You brought him to find father. Xiao Xiao wanted to laugh when he heard this. This nerd could even make up such a reason. He cleared his throat and said to this psychic with a serious expression. I was entrusted by your father to find you. You're his long-lost child. Now, I'm going to bring you back to your father's side. My father? I'm just a psychic. You're too funny. How could I have a father? If you don't believe me, I'll take you to see. After saying this, Xiao Xiao threw him into Kong Ming's psychic space. Sigh, you can't throw him in so quickly. You won't be able to get out later. Just as Kong Ming finished speaking, he heard the sound of mechanisms from all directions. Chapter 100. The sound of stones rubbing against each other could be heard from all around him. At first it was just a little bit, but then it became bursts, and then it became waves, spreading out around Xiao Xiao like dominoes. The sound of stones rubbing against each other was ear-piercing and terrifying. It was infinitely magnified in the darkness, eroding Xiao Xiao's facial features. Xiao Xiao instantly had goosebumps all over his body. He rubbed the clothes on his arms, and the rustling sound of clothes rubbing against each other was completely covered by the sound of stones tearing against each other. He listened carefully, trying to distinguish where the sound of stones rubbing against each other came from. At first, it seemed very far away, but at second, it seemed to be right under his feet. Just as Xiao Xiao was hesitating whether or not he should take to the air, his surroundings began to shake. Xiao Xiao felt the ground under his feet also begin to shake. In this half a second, just as he lifted his heel and his toes had yet to leave the ground under his feet opened like a door. His feet slipped, and without any strength, he began to fall uncontrollably. In the midst of the frightening fall, Xiao Xiao wanted to scream from his throat, but he forcefully held it back. He didn't know what kind of vibration a scream would cause. He swallowed his breath, and his entire face turned red. His hands flailed wildly in the air, but there was nothing but air. At this critical moment, he quickly activated his demonic aura, forming a protective shield around himself. It was as if he was stepping on a black cloud. His down jacket began to fly to both sides, and his clothes fluttered. He was like a chivalrous hero falling off a cliff. Xiao Xiao was thinking, I'm still missing a sword. Kong Ming was very anxious in the space. Xiao Xiao, you have to hold on. Xiao Xiao didn't have time to answer before his feet touched the bottom. It didn't seem very high. The only thing that gave him a headache now was that he couldn't see anything around him. And he didn't know where he was. It was so dark that there wasn't even the slightest bit of light. Xiao Xiao guessed that he had fallen into the mausoleum and accidentally triggered some mechanism. It seemed that this little spiritual sense was the key. Xiao Xiao didn't dare to move a single step for fear of triggering another mechanism. The mechanisms in the ancient mausoleum were no joke. He called out to Kong Ming in his mind, hurry up and ask him how we can get out of here. When Kong Ming saw Xiao Xiao land on the ground, he finally felt relieved. I just asked him. He said that once you come in, you can forget about leaving. Damn, this little guy is so rude. I suggest you beat him up. Don't. The little psychic looked at Kong Ming's raised fist and was a little scared. Is what you said just now true? Is he really my father? Kong Ming pretended to be serious and said, of course I am your father. Think about it. You are the spiritual sense of a book, and I am also the spiritual sense of a book. I am so much older than you. Even if I am not your father, I am still your elder. The two of us are the same. The little psychic looked at Kong Ming, and then looked at itself. It smelled the scent on Kong Ming's body. It was simple and solemn. What you said seems to make some sense. The two of us have the same scent. Alright, you two stop chatting. Hurry up and tell me how we can get out. Isn't that simple? If you let me out, the switch will automatically recover. But you can't come out now. If you come out, it won't be the switch that will recover, but the entire mountain will be destroyed. Kong Ming told him the truth. After the little psychic heard this, it was as surprised as when Xiao Xiao heard it last time. How is that possible? Don't lie to me. I don't believe you. I am your elder. I won't lie to you. If you don't believe me, reach out a hand and see if there are any changes. The little psychic stretched out a hand. With just this one hand, the earth began to shake, and the mountain began to shake. There was a faint phenomenon of the mountain on the verge of collapse. The little psychic was so scared that it quickly withdrew its hand. It's true. What should I do? The Empress will blame me. What's your name? My name is Kong Xiaoming. Damn, even your name is the same as mine. Who gave you that name? And you said you weren't my son. What's your name? My name is Kong Ming. Kong Xiaoming was stunned. Then, he suddenly threw himself into Kong Ming's arms. Dad, I finally found you. Kong Ming was held by this naughty child. He was somewhat at a loss. Just now, he was just lying to him. He didn't expect this child to take it seriously. Alright. Don't cry. I was just teasing you. How can I be your dad? I don't even know you. You are my dad. You don't know me, but I know you. At that time, this book of mine was also with you. Later, I don't know how it was stolen, but I was locked up in this dark place all year round. I guess you absorbed the essence of the other books and formed you. And this book of mine slowly formed its own psychic consciousness. But I can no longer find my original set of books. You asked if you were my father. So that's my home. Xiao Xiao listened in disbelief. There was actually this kind of origin. It seemed that the world of books was not something he could understand. Oh, I remember. You are one of the books in that set of Invincible, right? Kong Ming suddenly understood. Xiao Xiao. There was a set of books called Invincible. If you practice that set of books, you will reach the heavens in a single bound. But because there was one book missing, I didn't give it to you to practice. Today he kept calling me, but in fact he was calling his brother. You finally found what you wanted. Kong Ming was overjoyed. Interesting. There really is such a difficult and abnormal book. Xiao Xiao was somewhat in disbelief. Okay. It seems that the two of us are indeed fated. I also came here because I was summoned by you. Whether you are my son or not, I will treat you as my son from now on. Kong Ming was very happy. He did not expect that after this trip, he would actually find a son. This kind of telepathy was really magical. You two don't randomly recognize relatives. Hurry up and tell me how to go back. I am going out now. I still have to help the poor tomorrow morning. After returning to the family, the little psychic Kong Xiaoming's attitude was much better. Can you take me away from this damn place? It's so dark all day. I am suffocating. Of course. We came to find you. Of course, we will take you away. Xiao Xiao patted his chest and promised. Yes, yes. That's great. This is the mausoleum of the Empress. That year, I was buried in the mausoleum of the Empress as a funerary object. There are many mechanisms below. You must not touch it. Now that you have fallen from above, you are only on the first floor. There are still 18 floors below. Now, you must think of a way to return to the place where you found me. That is the place closest to the exit. Then can I move now? Xiao Xiao was still somewhat hesitant. He did not know what was going on around him. You must not move. Just go up from where you are and go straight out. There are mechanisms all around you. Okay, now he could only listen to Kong Xiaoming. Xiao Xiao channeled all the demonic energy to the bottom of his feet. His whole body suddenly jumped up. Borrowing the demonic energy, he directly went up from the place where he was free falling, overcoming the gravitational pull. He did not know how high he had jumped. He kept raising his right hand towards the sky. Not long after, he felt his hand touch a hard object. He carefully touched it. It seemed to be a stone wall. I have reached the top. What do I do now? Kong Xiaoming continued. Move 2 steps to the left. Xiao Xiao did as he was told. Finally his feet touched the ground. Then Kong Xiaoming began to instruct Xiao Xiao. 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right, 1 step to the left, 1 step to the side, and 1 step to the back. Just like that, Xiao Xiao finally walked out from the entrance. He turned back to look at the Empress and her boudoir, which covered the entire mountain. He bowed. Empress, sorry to disturb you. At last he completed his mission for the night. Xiao Xiao returned to his bedroom the same way he came. On the way back, he did not hear any strange sounds or strange creatures. There were only 4 walls in the house. The room was extremely cold. The thatch on the roof rustled even more in the night wind. There was a flutter in the wind, as if it was waiting for Xiao Xiao to return late. When he returned to his room, Xiao Xiao was too lazy to turn on the lights again. There was no difference between turning on the weak light and not turning it on. He did not even take off his clothes. He got into bed and covered himself with the smelly quilt. He put the quilt far away from his nose and only covered his stomach. Thinking about how he would have to live like this for 7 days, Xiao Xiao felt a headache coming on. Lying on the bed, Xiao Xiao let the thick aura of the mountain surround him. Soon he fell asleep. He did not know that the father and son in the bracelet space were overjoyed to finally reunite after a long time. The 2 of them chatted from dusk until dawn. Kong Xiaoming finally believed that Kong Ming was his family. He had finally found his home. Yinran learned about Xiao Zhao's worries over the phone. At first she did not think much of it. How could Director Fong have the time to go to such a place to help the poor? The local Nanchuan news would sometimes broadcast the whereabouts of the Director of Education, but there seemed to be no news recently. Yinran, the principal wants you to go to him. Miss Zhu told Yinran after class. Okay, teacher, I'll go right away. Principal Yi was fiddling with his bonsai. When he saw Yinran come in, he smiled. Come sit, Yinran. I have something to tell you. Yinran sat on the chair next to him. Her back was straight, and she looked at the principal indifferently and coldly. Now the quota for the independent enrollment has been released. The school wants to enroll you. You are more outstanding in all aspects. I don't know which university you want to apply to. When Yinran heard this, she had already thought about it. I want to apply to the Northern University. The principal nodded with satisfaction. Sigh, if you choose the Northern University, then Tsinghua University will definitely be sad. These schools are all fighting for you. My intention is to study finance in the future, so choosing a liberal arts school may be more suitable for me. Yinran had already thought about her future very clearly. Alright, it does make sense when you put it that way. The Northern University is definitely the best among the liberal arts schools. Xiao Xiao from your class has also been chosen by a few universities. Tsinghua University also wants him. He won the Information Science Olympiad last time. So Tsinghua University said that he can be admitted directly. When Yanran heard this, she was happy for Xiao Xiao. This time, Xiao Xiao is going to help the poor. The school also specially allocated a quota for him. The director Fong of the District Education Bureau is also very interested in him. He specifically asked him to go. It seems that he also needs to be trained. Yanran's heart skipped a beat. She did not show any reaction on the surface, but if Xiao Xiao was here, he would be able to see that the white steam bun on her head was a little anxious and was about to go berserk. She did not expect Xiao Xiao to be right. Chapter 101. After Yanran went back, she started to look through the news websites. There was nothing special on the District Education Bureau's website. However, the personal news about Director Fong made her eyes pop out of her head. The netizens were indeed very powerful now. The human flesh search function was very powerful, and everything was dug up. Some time ago, there was news of a child drowning in Nanchuan Park. She had also seen it, but she didn't expect it to be Director Fong's grandson. How could such a thing happen? Was it really an accident? Everything that happened couldn't be explained with the word coincidence. Yanran closed her laptop with a bang. Abnormal was a demon. She took out her voice changer and called the director of the District Education Bureau. The person who answered the phone was a secretary. Yanran reported that there was an education problem and wanted to talk to the director. The secretary replied, "If there's anything, you can tell me." The director went to the countryside to help the poor these 2 days. He's not here. Yanran casually said a few words and hung up the phone. There was a constant surge of anxiety in her heart. The next morning, Xiao Xiao walked out of his room and stretched. The sunlight pierced his eyes. He squinted and looked at the distant Dongshan Mountain. Dongshan Mountain looked tall and lush during the day. It wasn't as mysterious as it was at night. Who would have thought that it would be a different scene up close? Miss Zhang and Shin Ho had already woken up. The two of them were talking about how they couldn't sleep because of the cold last night. Today they wanted to borrow 2 hot water bags from the village chief. Although Xiao Xiao didn't sleep much, the spiritual energy in the mountains was abundant. He only slept for 2 hours, but he still felt refreshed. He felt that Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet space had chatted all night, and were now sleeping soundly. He didn't expect to pick up a child on a trip to the mountains. Early in the morning, the village chief sent them porridge, steamed buns and salted vegetables. "I'm sorry, this is the best we can do here. There aren't many vegetables in winter." The village chief smiled embarrassedly. Miss Zhang quickly replied, "We're just here to experience life. We're embarrassed to have to trouble you. We are very happy that you can come. Our children here only know how to play in the mud all day. They can't do anything else." The children's parents would also bring some books back from the city, but there was no one to teach them or take them with them. They were just decorations. Later, they were all used to cushion the table. The village is too poor. We can't continue to be poor generation after generation. Miss Zhang said, "That's right. We're here to help the poor in order to arouse their interest in learning. It's too short a time, so the effect won't be obvious. But at least we can let the children know that they should learn. We have to pass on this principle to them." After finishing their meal, they followed the village chief to a small open space in the village. "We don't have a school or a classroom here. I'll bring 2 tables and chairs for you in the next 2 days, so you can only have outdoor classes." Miss Zhang said, "The form is not important. The key is that the children are willing to listen." Soon the children came one after another. There were 7 of them in total. Even Daniel, who had fallen into the water yesterday, came. He seemed to have recovered after a night's rest. He was playing with the children in high spirits. Yesterday, his grandpa had told him that 2 brothers had saved him. One of them was very handsome. He came to take a look today, and found that there was indeed a male model in the village. He was a natural clothes hanger. Although he was wearing a down jacket, it couldn't hide his elegant demeanor at all. Daniel felt a little ashamed. He looked at his dirty and wrinkled black cotton-padded jacket, pulled it back and forth, left and right, and moved to Xiao Xiao step by step. He looked at the face of a god who had descended to the earth, and couldn't help blushing. How could there be someone so good-looking? Was it this person who saved him yesterday? Brother, thank you for saving me yesterday. Xiao Xiao touched his waist-high head and smiled at him. You have to learn to swim in the future. Then you won't be afraid of falling into the well again. Daniel looked at the peerless face in front of him and listened to his gentle words of encouragement. He couldn't help being tongue-tied. I will definitely learn. A little girl next to him also ran over. Brother, why are you so good-looking? Are you an immortal in heaven? I'm the prince of the devil world. If I tell you, you'll be scared to death. Xiao Xiao complained in his heart. How can an immortal in heaven be more handsome than me? Xiao Xiao winked at the little girl. The little girl's little heart trembled. This brother can generate electricity. After this brief interlude, they officially started their class. First, Miss Zhang described the outside world to them. She told the children that there were many things outside the mountains that they needed to explore, and the most convenient way was to read. The children were unwittingly attracted by the beautiful world that Miss Zhang described. It was not something they had never heard of or imagined. Books are the key to opening this world, so learning to read is very important. You have to start learning Pinyin. Once you know Pinyin, you can read, you can start reading, and you can explore the outside world. Then, Xin Ho and Xiao Xiao distributed the Pinyin reading materials and picture books they brought to the children. After that, Miss Zhang taught them Pinyin bit by bit. After a while, some of the children began to get confused. The discipline of the class was broken, and the children couldn't sit still. Miss Zhang's mouth was also dry. How about this? I'll let you rest for a while. Let your brother Xiao Xiao take you to play. Xiao Xiao touched his nose. Does he look like the king of children? Unexpectedly, all the children immediately rushed to Xiao Xiao's side. Who asked him to be so handsome? A few of the children wanted to climb up his legs. Xiao Xiao hurriedly took a step back and gestured for them to stop. Stop. If you want me to take you to play, you have to listen to me. The children all stopped in their tracks and nodded desperately. The group of adults next to them watched and laughed. It seemed that the children could distinguish between beauty and ugliness. Handsome people were attractive. The village chief also watched this scene with a smile. Xiao Xiao felt a headache coming on. Then let's play a game of hide and seek. Daniel, come over here. Lie down on this tree and cover your eyes. Then the others quickly hide. Don't be too far away. Just somewhere you can see from the square. Daniel, start counting. When you count to 10, turn around and look for them. If you find one within 5 minutes, you win. You'll be rewarded with an animation book. The children were extremely excited. Hide and seek was their favorite game. Immediately, the children began to run around the square like little girls. Daniel was full of pride that Xiao Xiao had given him such an important task to find people. He couldn't lose. Daniel covered his head on the tree and started counting. At first, he was very slow. Later, when he counted the last few numbers, it was like a bullet in his mouth. He finished counting in an instant. The other children nervously scattered. In the blink of an eye, there were no children in the square. The group of onlookers laughed and laughed. Daniel quickly searched the square. He was familiar with this place. Every day, he would come here dozens of times. As for where to hide people, he was very clear about it. He quickly climbed up a tree branch and pulled a person down from it. Then, he went into a family's pigsty and pulled out a child. The child had a foul smell on him. It was obvious that he had accidentally touched pig food. Then he looked around the crowd of adults. He really found one behind 2 old people. Everyone was amazed by Daniel's speed of finding people. They didn't expect that in a short time. He had already found more than half of them. Xiao Xiao looked at his watch. It was time. Daniel was very happy. He was proud and looked like he was asking for praise. He walked in front of Xiao Xiao and stretched out his hands. He longed for a reward. Xiao Xiao was not stingy with his encouragement. He rubbed Daniel's head and gave him a big thumbs up. Then he took a few comic books and put them in his hands. Daniel ran to the side with the comic books, as if he had found a treasure. The surrounding children all surrounded him. Xiao Xiao, I didn't expect you to be so good at taking care of children. No wonder they like you. Xin Ho walked over and said to Xiao Xiao with a smile. I was originally a rich playboy. When it comes to fun, I think no one would dare to claim to be first if I claimed to be second. I really didn't expect you to be like this. I always see news about you on the school's tieba. You dance so well, you play basketball so well, and you even won the Information Science Olympiad. How come I didn't expect you to be a rich playboy? Shinho felt a little strange. I was originally a bad student. Later, my brain suddenly opened up, and my grades became good. I'm not like you, who has been an excellent teenager since you were young. Xiao Xiao threw the comic books in his hands up and down. He said very casually, "Then I can see that you are well prepared and have a lot of stamina. You're also talented. You're not like me, who studied and studied hard since I was young. That's how I got to where I am now." Shinho had a round face. When he looked at people, he was focused and serious. One look, and you could tell that he was a trustworthy person. Xiao Xiao had a good impression of him. He patted his shoulder and said, "Yesterday, your CPR was very good. I thought that there was no hope. I didn't expect you to persevere and finally save Daniel. It's a life. Of course, I have to give it my all. It's also my first time saving someone. My heart was trembling when I applied the theories in the books to practice. You're still the brave one. The weather was so cold, and the water was so cold. You really need some courage to jump down," Shinho said from the bottom of his heart. At that time, I was in a hurry. I didn't think about anything and just jumped down. Xiao Xiao leaned back against a tree and tiptoed. "Your body is really good. After being splashed with cold water, you didn't even catch a cold. Last night, it was like we slept in an ice cellar. I even felt a headache when I woke up in the morning." The two of them chatted with each other, and a trace of recognition rose in their hearts. The more they talked, the more they got along. There was a feeling of regret that they didn't meet sooner. Xiao Xiao was more and more satisfied with the poverty alleviation this time. Other than the poor conditions, the people he got along with were all good. Chapter 102. The next segment they designed was for the children to read according to the pinyin that they had already learned. Everyone came up and read a sentence. If they made a mistake, the children below could correct them. It had to be said that Mr. Nanchuan's teaching method was really good. Under this method, everyone was very focused because they would be rewarded for pointing out other people's mistakes. Looking at these pinyin letters, they quickly learned them. Even if they didn't know the words, they could slowly read a picture book according to the pinyin. The village elder and the elders were very happy to see this. "Miss Zhang, you are right. Stimulate the children's interest and let them learn through the game. This way, even if you leave, they will be very willing to continue playing this game. The essence of education is to stimulate people's interest. As teachers, this is how we teach children." Shinho continued. "This is just to introduce them to the basics. When it comes to the later stages, they will have to study the difficult knowledge themselves." During the break, Xiao Xiao brought them to play Eagle and Chicks. Xiao Xiao, Shinho, and Miss Zhang all took the lead to play the Eagle, followed by a group of chicks. The cold winter did not feel cold at all amidst the laughter and laughter. Everyone's heart was warm, and the adults were sweating from playing. The children's favorite was to circle around Xiao Xiao. This handsome brother had endless charm and energy, and the light in the children's eyes never dimmed. Daniel was the most active one. He seemed to have become Xiao Xiao's spokesperson. Whatever Xiao Xiao said, he would relay it to the other children. He was like a child and a mouthpiece. Brother Xiao said, "Which one of you can tell the story to everyone? He will give you a chance to shake hands with you." Just for this chance to shake hands, all the children were full of energy. Who would have thought that a handshake would cause the children's little universe to explode? They all became orators and told the story vividly. Xiao Xiao was not stingy with shaking hands with all the children. One of the little girls blushed and shyly made a new request. "Brother Xiao, what do I have to do to be able to hug you?" Shinho couldn't help but laugh. He secretly said to Xiao Xiao, "Don't you think you look like a prostitute? How much is a touch? How much is a kiss on the cheek?" Xiao Xiao slapped him far away. Just like that, the classes for the day were tight and orderly. The children were learning and playing happily. The teachers were also teaching happily. The villagers were even happier. It was as if the entire village was celebrating the new year. That night, several teachers and students from another school came to the village. They were surprised by the current situation of the village. They had never been to such a poor place before. Xiao Xiao and the others had already gotten used to it. It was just that they had to give up half of the place to sleep at night. In the end, it was Xiao Xiao and Xin Ho who shared a room. The others were free to group up and fill up the entire room. At night, Xin Ho was there. Xiao Xiao couldn't go out. The two sat on the bed and chatted. Xiao Xiao found that Xin Ho was very knowledgeable. He knew everything from astronomy to geography. He must have read a lot of books since he was a child. If he hadn't been studying hard during this period, he probably wouldn't have been able to catch up on a lot of things. Xin Ho also found that Xiao Xiao was a treasure trove. Not only was he humorous, but he also knew a lot of professional knowledge, especially in information science. He was really a god. He was the object of his worship. Shen Hao looked at him lazily lying on the bed with his legs casually crossed, and his hands under his neck. Every detail of his body was designed perfectly. In the end, Shen Hao concluded, "If I say on Tieba that I'm sharing a bed with you, the whole school will probably explode. It's just a body. There's nothing to show off." Xiao Xiao grinned. Xin Ho looked at Xiao Xiao's casual appearance. Under the perfect face, no matter whether it was a man or a woman, everyone would want to have such a beautiful body. At first, both of them had their eyes closed, but now Xin Ho opened them. He stared greedily at the perfect face. It was a challenge to his self-control. He wrapped the quilt tightly to hide his accelerated heartbeat. Slowly, the two of them fell asleep. The last sentence reminded Xiao Xiao of how well Yanran treated him. She was the only girl who didn't look at the body, but looked at the heart. Although he didn't know how Yanran felt about him, at least this kind of hazy interaction always made his heart beat faster. The next day, it was the turn of the teachers from other schools to teach the children. Xiao Xiao and the others became bystanders. The teachers from the other schools had also made meticulous preparations. They had brought many exquisite gifts, 3 full boxes of toys. For the children in the valley, they had never seen such novel toys before. The teachers really became the children's leaders, teaching them all kinds of toys and engaging in a toy war. The children were having a lot of fun playing. Daniel drove his toy tank. The remote control in his hand was like a conductor's baton. At first, he wasn't familiar with it. After a few rounds, it stuck to his fingers. If he told him to go east, he wouldn't go west. Moreover, the speed was getting faster and faster. The other cars chased after Daniel's tank. The tank and the cars formed a convoy. The tank cleared the road in front. Because the road was bumpy, the other cars often went astray. Here, the tank's advantage was shown. Soon, the tank convoy walked out of everyone's sight. Xiao Xiao and Xin Ho chatted and didn't care. The group of children followed the tank. After turning a corner, they couldn't see it anymore. After a while, Daniel's voice came from afar. He seemed to be flustered and exasperated. "You guys pay for my tank." Then a group of children's voices said, "You guys pay for our toys." Xiao Xiao and Xin Ho looked at each other. Something seemed to have happened. "Let's go and take a look." When they got closer, they realized that another group of people had come. Because they were careless, the boxes they were dragging fell on the tank. The tank was crushed, and one of its wheels fell to the ground. Daniel hugged his beloved tank, and was so anxious that he wanted to cry. "Kid, don't worry. I'll buy you another one." A middle-aged man squatted down and studied the tank with Daniel, but Daniel was completely angry with him. He avoided the middle-aged man's hand that was about to take the tank. Then he twisted his body and moved to the side. At the side, a few children surrounded the person who was dragging the boxes and kept making a fuss. That person was dragging the boxes. Because of the bumpy road, he accidentally fell on top of the tank. He was already sweating profusely. Now that he was surrounded by a group of children, he was even more flustered. "This tank is the only one. Where are you going to pay for it?" Daniel's heart ached. He wanted to put the wheels on, but he couldn't. The middle-aged man was a little embarrassed. "I mean what I say. I'll buy you a new one." "Director Fong, you came personally?" Miss Zhang recognized at a glance that the person was Director Fong of the District Education Bureau. When Xiao Xiao heard Director Fong's name, he immediately became alert. He walked from the back of the crowd to the front, and took a closer look. It was really Director Fong, who came to their school last time. The village chief and the others also came. When they heard that it was the director of the District Education Bureau, they immediately welcomed them in. But the children didn't buy it at all. Whoever broke their toys was a bad person. They were no longer as friendly to Xiao Xiao and the others. When they saw this group of people enter the village, they immediately ran away. Director Fong raised his eyes and looked at the people surrounding them. His gaze paused on Xiao Xiao for a moment before he immediately looked away. Xiao Xiao didn't know if he was being sensitive, but he felt that Director Fong seemed to be evaluating and confirming something. The village chief was very happy that the director of the District Education Bureau personally came to their school. There were already 2 groups of teachers here. He didn't expect the District Education Bureau to take it so seriously. No matter what, even if they were here to take photos, it would be very beneficial for them. Director Fong took the initiative to ask to see the surroundings. The group of people could only accompany Director Fong to look around with the village chief. The conditions here really need to be improved. This isn't very good for the children's education. If you're poor, you can't be poor for the children's education, Director Fong said as he walked. The village chief agreed. Yes, we still need the director's concern. We don't have any teachers here. We're too poor. No one is willing to come here to be a teacher. This can be a poverty alleviation program. We can arrange for teachers to come here in shifts to teach. Those who are willing to come here to teach will be given preferential treatment when they get promoted in the future. Miss Zhang nodded. This is a good idea. This way, there will be people willing to come. How's their teaching these 2 days? Director Fong asked the village chief directly. They teach very well. The children especially like them, especially the most handsome Xiao Xiao. He's very popular with children and is very good at teaching. Oh really? I couldn't tell. Director Fong chuckled as he turned to look at Xiao Xiao. But the moment he saw him, his eyes instantly turned cold. Xiao Xiao wanted to answer, but Director Fong turned his head. It's not easy to come here. I'll stay here tonight. When the village chief heard that the director was actually staying here without any prior arrangements, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Director, the conditions here are really bad. Also, the space is limited. These people are all squeezing together to sleep. You might not be used to it. Poverty alleviation must be done in place. How can we leave just because the conditions are bad? Then our poverty alleviation program will really be a formality. Don't be embarrassed. I'll sleep with them. The village chief had a headache. Where in the village could there be extra rooms for Director Fong to stay in? He looked for a long time, and could only move the group of people to a bigger courtyard with 3 entrances. There were a total of 8 of them now. The 3 rooms could only be arranged in a 332 layout. Originally, Xiao Xiao thought that Director Fong would definitely stay with his follower. He didn't expect Director Fong to say that he wanted to understand the thoughts of the young students. So, he chose one of the students to stay with him. In the end, under Director Fong's insistence, Xiao Xiao stayed in the same room as him. The others squeezed in separately. When Xiao Xiao found out about the adjustments to his room, he was even more certain that Director Fong came prepared. What did he want? Chapter 103. Miss Zhang patted Xiao Xiao's shoulder and encouraged him. Xiao Xiao, take advantage of this opportunity and report your thoughts to Director Fong. Let him guide you. It will be very beneficial for your future studies. Xiao Xiao's head hurt like hell. He couldn't even protect his own life. So how could he talk about his studies? Xiao Xiao dilly-dallied and stayed in Shin Ho and Miss Zhang's room for a long time, unwilling to leave. Miss Zhang urged him several times. Xiao Xiao, don't be shy, hurry up and go. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. Shin Ho and Miss Zhang were already preparing to go to bed, so he could only return to his own room. When he came out of Shin Ho's room and walked to his own room, he had to pass through the courtyard. As soon as he came out of his room, he saw that the door to his room was wide open. There was no light inside, just like a dark hole. He had a feeling that he had walked right into a trap. Xiao Xiao took a deep breath. No matter what, this time he came openly, so there shouldn't be any underhanded tricks. Moreover, Last time Yinran didn't tell him whether or not that Zixuan expert was Director Fong. He assessed his current strength. After this period of cultivation, his spirit concealment spell had already reached the 7th level. In other words, he could use 7th level demonic aura without being detected. What kind of result would it be if he went up against Zixuan at the 7th level? He wasn't sure, but at least it wouldn't be like last time, when he couldn't use any demonic power and was beaten so miserably. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Director Fong sitting on the bed without saying anything, just staring at the door. His 2 eyes seemed even darker in the darkness, so deep that he couldn't see the bottom. "Close the door." Director Zhang's cold voice sounded. Xiao Zhao's entire body was filled with vigilance, every hair on his body standing on end. He closed the door with the back of his hand. The moment he closed the door, he felt a layer of enchantment around him. Then an earth-shattering pressure came crashing down on him, squeezing every pore in his body. F***CK, he didn't even say a word, and directly started fighting. Xiao Xiao was pressed against the door. He couldn't turn around, so he couldn't see Director Fong's venomous eyes staring at Xiao Xiao's back. The purple aura above Director Fong's head soared into the sky. 90% of his strength was not concealed at all. It was 10 times more powerful than the last time in the small alley. Fortunately, Xiao Xiao was already mentally prepared. He immediately released his level 7 devil chi, and the pressure was greatly reduced. He protected himself with a layer of devil chi, which collided with the purple gas. "Kid, you really are hiding something." Director Fong's cold words floated over. "Director Fong, why are you doing this? Do you want to kill me?" Xiao Xiao squeezed out these few words with difficulty. "You know very well. Why do you need me to say it? Do you want to rub salt on my wound?" With this angry roar, the pressure was raised to full strength. Xiao Xiao was confused, but he didn't have time to think. He could only concentrate all his energy to resist the pressure. Only then could he breathe. Director Fong didn't see any devil chi on Xiao Xiao's body from beginning to end. But at this time, he didn't care at all. Whether or not he was a cultivator, he only knew that he had to avenge his grandson. In his eyes, Xiao Xiao's vicious thoughts and vile actions deserved to be cut into pieces 10,000 times. Just as the two were fighting, the enchantment began to loosen. The 2 people inside were too strong. Director Fong was shocked. If the house was destroyed, everything would be exposed. He simply cast a spell and tied Xiao Xiao up tightly. Finally, he led him to the back of the mountain. Xiao Xiao couldn't do anything. His whole body was tied up. He couldn't move or speak. He could only be dragged forward. Director Fong was worthy of being a Zixuan expert. He was quite agile. He ran a long distance with Xiao Xiao without panting. Xiao Xiao was quite miserable. It was like a rope tied to him. It didn't care about his balance at all. He had already fallen to the ground. It was like being dragged by a horse. The clothes on his body were rubbing against the ground. Fortunately, he wore thick clothes in the winter. Even if his clothes were torn, it didn't hurt his flesh. But the abrasions on his exposed hands and feet were already unavoidable. Xiao Xiao struggled to raise his head. He only had one thought now, and that was to not disfigure his face. Soon, he was dragged to the place where the weeds were growing. Director Fong probably felt that the weeds were in the way, so he simply dragged him away from the ground. He finally didn't have to rub against the ground. But there was nothing covering his face. One by one, the weeds cut his face like sharp knives. Xiao Xiao was actually thinking, "Oh no, my face is disfigured. Will Yinran still like me?" Xiao Xiao remembered that before, Yinran also tied him up once. It seemed that this Director Fong was about the same level as Yinran. Xiao Xiao had never seen Yinran's real strength. He only knew that she was much stronger than him. Now he had some personal experience. In the darkness, the back of the mountain was like a sleeping dragon. Because the tomb of the Empress of East Mountain was closest to the sun, it was also where the dragon's head was. And now, Director Fong was dragging Xiao Xiao in that direction. Soon, Xiao Xiao had no choice but to think about it. Because the pain was coming from all over, from his face to every bone in his body, he felt like they were about to break. And Director Fong wanted to torture him, so he dragged him up the mountain as fast as he could. There were all kinds of strange rocks on the mountain, and the heights were uneven. Xiao Xiao was constantly knocked into dizziness. The places on his body that should be bleeding were bleeding. There was also a big bump on his forehead that began to bleed. His whole face looked terrible. If Xiao Xiao didn't have the devil chi to protect his body, he probably would have been dragged to death. But the devil chi could only protect his heart and meridians, not his appearance. Just as Xiao Xiao was slowly being knocked into dizziness, Director Fong finally stopped. How is it? Xiao Xiao, it feels good, doesn't it? It's a pity that I'm the only one dragging you. I really wish there were 5 horses dragging you in different directions. Then you would experience the pain of being torn apart by 5 horses. Director Fong didn't hide the hatred in his heart at all. I only tortured you, and you actually dared to take revenge on my grandson. Xiao Xiao, I'd rather you come at me. How could you do it to a child? You actually have such a vicious mind. Then I'll let you experience the pain of being torn apart. Director Fong had already begun to roar. You scum! Even if I cut you into 1,000 pieces, it won't make up for the sins you've committed. Today, I'm going to bury you here, and let you live with the grave forever. Director Fong had already lost his mind, and he laughed at the sky. Then he began to swing Xiao Xiao into the mountain, again and again, and the entire mountain was hit with banging sounds. Director Fong laughed like a madman and swung Xiao Xiao like a discus. Xiao Xiao had no choice but to helplessly let his body hit the mountain wall. Xiao Xiao didn't understand a single word of Director Fong's words, but he couldn't refute it. His consciousness was gradually blurring, and more blood was flowing out of his body. Xiao Xiao, you have to hold on. Hurry and wake up. Don't fall asleep. Think of a way to escape. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet were worried to death. Xiao Xiao heard the two of them talking in her blurred consciousness. He also knew that he had to save himself at this time. Director Fong, who was like a madman, would never forgive him. Offense is the best defense. The next time he was thrown into the mountain wall like a discus, Xiao Xiao suddenly twisted and turned, and his whole body hit Director Fong. Director Fong didn't dodge in time, and was hit directly. He fell to the ground, and rolled along the mountain wall several times, until a large stone blocked him. And because Director Fong let go of Xiao Xiao, the rope on his body was untied. Director Fong stood up. Xiao Xiao, you still have strength. Xiao Xiao couldn't speak, so he simply released all the magic in his body, and rushed towards Director Fong. Before Director Fong could stand firm, he grabbed his neck, and then punched his face like iron. How does it feel to be hit by an iron plate? Xiao Xiao's magic was no joke. Director Fong's face was instantly beaten out of shape, and several of his teeth fell out. Both of his eyes were visibly swollen and bruised. The two of them quickly tangled with each other. Director Fong's Zixuan and Xiao Xiao's magic quickly collided. The sky fell and the earth cracked, and a large amount of gravel was splashed out. Director Fong's fists carried wind, while Xiao Xiao's magic carried iron. The iron wrapped around the wind, and the wind wrapped around the iron. The wind invaded Xiao Xiao's meridians, making him feel uncomfortable. The iron wrapped around the wind directly smashed into Director Fong's bones, and the sound of bones breaking could be heard. The two of them fought fiercely, but after all, Xiao Xiao had been seriously injured, and although Director Fong was strong, he couldn't take it after being beaten by Xiao Xiao for so long. After the two of them fought for a while, they were so tired that they fell to the ground and couldn't get up. And at that moment, there was a sudden clanging sound from the side. Xiao Xiao remembered that at 12 o'clock, the Empress had sent people out to patrol. But at that moment he no longer had the strength to escape. After he killed that little goblin yesterday, he avoided the risk of being caught. But today he was at his wit's end. He was so tired that he couldn't lift a finger. Director Fong also heard this strange sound, but he didn't know what it was. Like Xiao Xiao, he lay on the ground and couldn't move, but he still vigilantly observed his surroundings. The sound was a bit close, and gradually lingered around the two of them, and the clanging sound didn't stop. And following that, a gust of demonic wind circled above the two of them, observing, unwilling to leave for a long time. Slowly, this demonic wind blew stronger and stronger, as if it had called in more demonic winds to surround the two of them. The surrounding branches and leaves seemed to have received an order and twisted into a rope. It slowly crawled towards the two of them from the ground, and a vine had already wrapped around Xiao Xiao's foot. Chapter 104. Gradually, the second and third vines crawled up from the ground and were about to wrap around their bodies. At this time, their survival instincts soared. The two of them no longer cared about fighting each other. They had to solve their own danger first. The two of them separately used magic to cut off the vines that wrapped around their bodies. 1, 2, 3. But when hundreds of vines rushed towards the two of them, they could no longer resist. The only thing they could do was to escape this place. Director Fong originally wanted to stand up from the ground and run out. But before he could take a step, one of his feet was entangled, and he was pulled down. He cut off the vine and simply rolled down the mountain. Immediately, hundreds of vines followed him down the mountain. Xiao Xiao's situation was even worse. At this time, he happened to be stuck next to a big rock. He couldn't run down the mountain. He could only continue to run around the rock to where there were no vines. The vines behind him were like hands, desperately trying to grab his back. Xiao Xiao used his magic to the extreme, forming a sharp magic blade on his back. He didn't need to turn back and reach out his hand. The vines would automatically be cut off when they touched the magic blade. But these vines never knew what sacrifice meant. They were duty-bound and sacrificed themselves for righteousness. They didn't hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Wave after wave of vines chased after him from behind. Xiao Xiao slowly ran halfway up the mountain. He really couldn't run anymore. The original wounds on his body were bleeding even faster. He was already dizzy and didn't know where he was. At this time, Kong Xiaoming suddenly shouted, "Xiao Xiao, quickly hide in the tomb." Xiao Xiao looked up. In front of him was the semicircular switch that he had used to enter the tomb that night. He turned back to look at the approaching vines. Without any hesitation, he didn't even bother to grab a leaf to cushion his hand. He twisted it and the door opened. He quickly fell in. The vines seemed to have seen a forbidden area and didn't dare to move forward. Tonight's night seemed to be longer than usual. Time was like a big hand, desperately pulling back the hands of the clock. But no matter how hard time worked, the sun would always rise and the darkness would eventually recede. Daniel's grandfather usually woke up very early. The first thing he did when he got up was to head to East Mountain. According to him, they had to pay respects to the Empress every morning. Only then would the Empress protect their family's safety. Today, as usual, he passed through the weeds and was about to kneel down and kowtow to Empress Mountain. Just as he kowtowed, he looked up and subconsciously looked forward. A black object appeared 100 meters in front of him. It had never appeared before. Daniel's grandfather was shocked. He rubbed his eyes and walked closer to take a look. It turned out to be a person, because he was wearing black clothes. His entire body was covered in blood and mud. From afar he looked like a black mound. He was already unconscious. He didn't recognize who it was, and hurriedly went back to call the village chief. When village chief heard this, he knelt down in front of Empress Mountain with a thud. Empress Mountain had manifested again. Empress Mountain had manifested again. He asked Daniel's grandfather nervously, "Is he dead? Is he still breathing?" Daniel's grandfather was stunned. "I didn't notice. I didn't dare to touch him either. His whole body was covered in blood. I almost fainted from fright." "Quick, quick. Get 2 people to carry him back," village chief ordered. He quickly arranged for a car to be sent to the hospital. If someone was injured, they had to be sent to the hospital. They couldn't let him die in their village. It was too unlucky. Just like that, when they carried him back to the village, everyone came to take a look when they heard the news. Someone then realized, isn't that Director Fong? Yes, it's Director Fong who came to help the poor yesterday. This morning, Director Fong and Xiao Xiao weren't in the room. I was wondering where they went. Shin Ho had also realized that they weren't around in the morning. He hurriedly rushed out of the house. He didn't expect Director Fong to be here. "Where's Xiao Xiao? Where did Xiao Xiao go? Did anyone see Xiao Xiao?" Shin Ho asked anxiously. When Daniel heard that his benefactor had disappeared, he also became anxious. He grabbed his grandfather and asked, "Where did Brother Qiao go? Did you see Brother Qiao?" "I really didn't notice. I rushed back as soon as I saw him. Could it be that there's another one nearby? Then quickly send people up the mountain to look for him." So the village chief arranged for two groups of people. One group of people hurriedly sent Director Fong to the city on a handcart. The other group of people went up the mountain to continue looking for Qiao Xiao. The group of people who went up the mountain to look for Qiao Xiao saw that the trees and weeds on Dongshan Mountain were messed up. It was as if there had been a fierce battle, but after searching the entire mountain, they couldn't find Qiao Xiao. They didn't even see a corner of his clothes. Daniel followed them up. At this moment he was crying. He couldn't believe that his benefactor, Brother Qiao, had just saved him 2 days ago. How could he suddenly disappear today? Is it really the goddess's spirit? Don't tell me you've captured Brother Qiao. Daniel asked his grandfather foolishly. Legend has it that the goddess likes handsome men. Your brother Qiao is so handsome. It's possible that he wasn't captured by her. Then can we beg the goddess to release Brother Qiao? I don't want Brother Qiao to die. Daniel was already crying. Keep looking. I don't believe Qiao Xiao's fate is so bad. Shinho walked past Daniel and pulled him away. They continued to search for an entire day, but they still didn't find anything. It was as if Qiao Xiao had disappeared from the entire mountain valley. He had disappeared from the face of the earth. With such a big thing happening to the poverty alleviation program, no one was in the mood to help the poor anymore. After all, the things that needed to be sent had been delivered, and the photos that needed to be taken had been taken. These people all followed Director Fong back to the city. Only Shinho took the initiative to stay. I will find Qiao Xiao. I will definitely bring him back. Miss Zhang patted Shinho's shoulder and said to him, "Good child, but you have to be mentally prepared. Look at how injured Director Fong is. They all say that the goddess's spirit has appeared, but I'm guessing that there's some kind of wild beast on the mountain? No, I don't believe that such a good person like Qiao Xiao would be so unlucky." After spending a few days together, Shinho was deeply attracted to Qiao Xiao. "I believe that he's only temporarily trapped there. He needs our help right now. I won't abandon him." Miss Zhang didn't say anything else. She patted his shoulder and said, "You have to take care of yourself. If you really can't find him, then come back." After sending off the group, Shinho brought Daniel and a few other villagers to continue their search on the mountain. The entire village was filled with a sorrowful atmosphere. Qiao Xiao, who had been alive and kicking in front of them 2 days ago, had disappeared in the blink of an eye. The goddess's spirit has appeared. This was what they agreed on. Qiao Xiao had been taken away by the goddess. A few of the villagers had nothing to do, so they spread this saying. Qiao Xiao was really too handsome. Even the goddess didn't let him go. After waiting for 2 days, she finally couldn't take it anymore, and directly took Brother Qiao Xiao into her tomb. Can that Qiao Xiao still be alive after entering her tomb? How can he be alive? He's probably scared to death. The goddess has also taken people before. Have you seen anyone being released? It's such a pity. Such a good-looking child. The goddess must have committed a sin. You can't speak ill of the goddess. We're her tomb keepers. If there's anything good, we have to sacrifice it to her. It's just that this child has suffered. Sigh. This is also something we can't decide. Daniel's grandfather was the most upset. He even saved our family's Daniel. Why is his life so bitter? Who are you talking about? Whose life is miserable? A clear and cold female voice came from behind the old men. The elders turned around and saw an incomparably beautiful girl standing behind them. Her expression was solemn and incomparably cold. The words she spoke were even more bone-chilling than the cold wind. When did this girl come to the village? Daniel's grandfather was stunned. He asked, "Who are you?" "I'm looking for someone. 2 days ago, the people who came to help the poor. Where do they live?" "I'm their friend." The cold female voice sounded again. "Who are you looking for?" "They've already gone back." Yinran raised an eyebrow. "Why did they go back so early? Have they finished helping the poor?" Yinran's aura was very strong. No. Something happened to them, so they went back early." Daniel's grandfather was like a criminal being interrogated in front of this girl. He couldn't help but answer all of her questions. What happened to them? Who's in trouble? Yinran stared into Daniel's grandfather's eyes. One of them is missing. One of them is seriously injured, so they went back early. Who's seriously injured? Who's missing? Yinran pressed on. That Director Fong is injured. Xiao Xiao is missing. Delu's grandfather couldn't help but blurt out everything. Yinran's heart was in turmoil. As expected, Director Fong made his move again. Where do they live? Take me there. Yinran ordered. Daniel's grandfather stood up when he heard Yinran's order. He consciously led the way. He didn't know why he was so obedient, but Yinran had an aura that made people submit to her. On the way, Daniel's grandfather couldn't help but ask his own question. Miss, are you a police officer? No, I'm Xiao Xiao's classmate. Then why are you here? I'm here to look for Xiao Xiao. Daniel's grandfather looked at Yinran with an expressionless face. He couldn't help but remind her. Miss, you have to calm down. We have been the mausoleum keepers of the Empress for generations. Xiao Xiao was too handsome, so he was captured by the Empress. You have to be mentally prepared. Xiao Xiao's disappearance might not be found. Yinran looked up when she heard this. Her bone-chilling gaze seemed to pierce Daniel's grandfather's heart. Daniel's grandfather's heart trembled. Miss, don't be angry. Xiao Xiao is really a good person. When he first came to our village, my grandson fell into the well. He jumped into the well without a care for his own safety and saved him. It was so cold that the well water almost froze. When he was saved, I saw that his lips were purple from the cold. He's our savior. I really hope that he's fine. But this place is cursed. For generations, the mausoleum keepers have not dared to leave this place, because we have to serve this empress. Something similar had happened before. The person had mysteriously disappeared. Later on, they said that the empress had appeared and captured the person. Yinran didn't say anything. She just silently followed Daniel's grandfather. Daniel's grandfather didn't dare to say anything when he saw that Yinran didn't respond. They hurried to the door of the house where they lived. They happened to meet Shin Ho and Daniel, who had returned from their search. Chapter 105. Shin Ho walked over with Daniel with a depressed look on his face. Shin Ho. A woman's cold voice sounded. Shin Ho looked up and was stunned. Aren't you Yinran? Why are you here? I'm here to see Xiao Xiao. Shin Ho suddenly became excited. You know what happened to him? I don't know. I'm here to ask you. Shin Ho's eyes dimmed again. Let's go in and talk. Daniel's grandfather held Daniel's hand. Let your brother and sister talk. Come back with me for dinner. Look at you. You're so dirty. Then he led Daniel away, leaving Shin Ho and Yinran alone. What happened? Please tell me everything. I'm Xiao Xiao's best friend. Yinran looked into Shin Ho's eyes. Shin Ho looked at Yinran's clean eyes and couldn't help but believe her. I knew that a good person like Xiao Xiao would have friends who would do anything for him. Then he began to describe what had happened to Yinran. The more he spoke, the more indignant he became. It all happened so suddenly. We've been here for 2 days and everything has been fine. Nothing out of the ordinary has happened. The villagers have been warning us not to go out at night, and we've been obedient. But last night, a few more people came. We didn't have enough rooms, so we were transferred to this house. There are 8 people in 3 rooms, so we were divided into 3 rooms. Director Fong insisted that Xiao Xiao stay in the same room as him, because he wanted to know more about the students' thoughts. At that time, I thought it was strange. We were from the same school, so we should stay together. There were 3 people in our school, so it was just right for us to stay in the same room. However, under Director Fong's insistence, he stayed in the same room as Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao stayed in my room until late at night. He looked a little worried. At that time, Miss Zhang thought that he was embarrassed and encouraged him to report his thoughts to Director Fong more. In the future, if Director Fong took care of him, it would be very beneficial. Who would have thought that something would happen to them that very night? I woke up in the middle of the night. At that time, I thought I heard a sound in the courtyard, but when I went to take a look, I didn't find anything. The next morning, I went to knock on their door. I wanted to ask them to have dinner together, but to my surprise, there was no one in the house. The floor was a mess, and everything seemed to have been smashed. The bed was also a mess. At the time, I wondered if something had happened. Xiao Xiao is really too good-looking. I'm guessing that Director Fong has some bad intentions towards him. I slept with him the night before, so the temptation was a little too strong. When Yanran heard this, she suddenly raised her eyes and glanced at Shin Ho as if she wanted to see through his soul. Shin Ho suddenly felt that his words were too explicit. He touched his nose and changed his perspective. But I don't think it's possible. Director Fong is almost 50 years old. Why would he do something like this? Moreover, I don't think Xiao Xiao is a pushover that anyone can bully. Also, if something really happened, why didn't Xiao Xiao send out a distress signal? Shin Ho rambled on and told Yanran everything that happened in the past 2 days. And then, Yanran listened expressionlessly. She didn't agree with Shin Ho's guess because she knew very well what Director Fong's goal was. Later, they found a seriously injured Director Fong at the foot of Dongshan Mountain. There weren't many bones in his body that were in good condition. It seemed that he had rolled down the mountain. Daniel's grandfather was the first to find him when he was kowtowing at the Empress tomb in the morning. Director Fong was seriously injured and unconscious, so they quickly sent him to the hospital in the county. I went up the mountain to look for Xiao Xiao the whole day. I'm guessing that he's also unconscious somewhere. I'm most worried that there will be wild beasts or snakes on the mountain. If they eat him, then we really won't be able to find him. Yinran's eyelashes trembled. She was one step too late. It happened last night. You rest first. I'll go to the back of the mountain to look again. Yinran turned to leave after hearing that. Shin Ho anxiously said from behind. Yinran, it's too dangerous for a girl to go to the back of the mountain alone. Wait for me. I'll go with you after I eat something. No need. You rest well. You've been tired all day. I'll bring him back. Yinran's figure had already disappeared through the door. Strong and confident, Yinran left the village and first went to find Daniel's grandfather. After asking about Director Fong's location, she went straight to the back of the mountain. The back of the mountain stretched endlessly, and several mountains were connected together. Yinran judged that Dongshan Mountain had the best feng shui. The Empress tomb must be on Dongshan Mountain. When she saw the specific location where Director Fong was found, she followed the surrounding traces and found that he had indeed rolled down from Dongshan Mountain. Although Dongshan Mountain wasn't particularly high, only about 400 meters above sea level, because no one walked around all year round, there were rugged rocks. If one rolled down from above, even if one didn't die, they would be seriously injured. Yinran evaluated her strength when she was in the Zishuan. If she had rolled down from the top of the mountain, she wouldn't have been able to hold on. If she had rolled down halfway up the mountain, she could have barely survived. It seemed that the fight between the two of them should have been halfway up the mountain. Yinran didn't hesitate anymore and began to walk up the mountain. She walked very slowly, carefully observing as she walked. Sure enough, there were many traces on the side of the road. They were all traces of people rolling. From time to time, there were pieces of clothes hanging on the rocks. Some of the rocks were stained brown. Yinran touched it with her finger and smelled it under her nose. It was blood that hadn't completely dried up yet. The more Yinran walked up, the more shocked she became. She could already see traces of spiritual power fighting. It seemed that the two of them had gone through a fierce battle. Yinran looked up at the deep and quiet mountain at this time. Xiao Xiao, where are you? Ouch. It really hurt. Xiao Xiao woke up in the darkness. What the hell is this place? Xiao Xiao opened his eyes, but he couldn't see anything. He wanted to raise his body, but there was a sharp pain in his forehead. He touched his forehead and his hand was sticky. Damn, it was disfigured. He used his hand to support himself and found that his back was like a stone wall. He gritted his teeth and forced his upper body to support himself. He leaned against the wall and was finally able to breathe straight. Xiao Xiao didn't even have the strength to open his eyes now. Anyway, he couldn't see even if he opened his eyes. He didn't know how long he had been unconscious. It was a miracle that he could wake up. He remembered that there were two guys in his bracelet who were watching the show. He shook his wrist. You two have no conscience. You just watched me get abused. Why didn't you pull me into the space? Xiao Xiao complained to the two in his mind. Xiao Xiao, have you forgotten? After you came out of my space, it was destroyed. I'm living in your bracelet now. Can you come in? Damn, he remembered. Last time. Not only was the space destroyed, even his courtyard was destroyed. You mean you can only be a bystander in the future? I'm sorry, Brother Qiao. We also want to help, but we can't. Kong Xiaoming said with some self-blame. No way, you call him dad and me brother? Do you believe that I won't beat you up? Xiao Xiao pretended to be fierce. Then I'll call you Xiao Xiao too. How do you feel now? Kong Xiaoming was a little worried about Xiao Xiao's state. Before that guy directly hit Xiao Xiao on the mountain, he was scared. I won't die. This scum wants to kill me, the crown prince. It's not that easy. This person simply can't distinguish right from wrong. Revenge for his grandson? What revenge? I don't even know who his grandson is. Xiao Xiao constantly complained to Kong Ming, and Kong Xiaoming in his mind. Xiao Xiao, I don't want to criticize you. Haha, your martial arts are too weak. How can you not even beat this scum? Although I feel sorry for you. I really can't stand it anymore. You are too useless. Kong Xiaoming couldn't help but say. Don't stab me in the heart. That's a purple Xian expert we're talking about. Why don't you go and try? Xiao Xiao was not convinced. Zixuan is nothing. Even Taishu is no match for me. Kong Xiaoming was proud at this time. Kong Ming, control your son. He is so arrogant at such a young age. If he goes out, he will be beaten to death. Not to mention that he is the underling of the crown prince of the devil world. Xiao Xiao, don't look down on Kong Xiaoming. What he said is true. Didn't I tell you before? He is the world's most precious martial arts secret book. Countless people have lost their lives fighting for him. Kong Ming immediately corrected his son's name. Then tell me, what is the name of your martial arts secret book? Kong Xiaoming. Kong Xiaoming said his name proudly. Pfft. Shouldn't you be called something like Jinjing or Jiutian? Those names are too vulgar. At first I was called Invincible. Later, I heard about Kong Ming's deeds, so I changed my name to Kong Xiaoming. Kong Xiaoming explained. It was Xiao Zhao's first time hearing that a name could be changed. Okay. You can call yourself whatever you want. It's too late to cultivate your Kong Xiaoming now. Let's go out first. Xiao Xiao struggled to get up. At this time, Kong Xiaoming was like a child who had done something wrong. I'm sorry, Xiao Xiao. I don't know how to get out. Xiao Xiao suddenly opened his eyes, although he still could not see anything. What happened? When you fell in the wrong place, and triggered another mechanism. Then the original mechanism was closed. What do we do now? We can only find another way out now. Then you lead the way. I'm sorry, Xiao Xiao. I don't know the other ways. How many years have you lived here? It's been a long time, but I don't remember the way. I only found this exit. You think you're the best in martial arts in the world? You're blind? Kong Xiaoming was already raging in the bracelet. Although I'm blind, you can't insult my martial arts. After saying that, he even spread his legs and pointed to the sky with one hand. Then, as if he was embarrassed, he squatted down and drew circles on the ground. Xiao Xiao had already fully understood his situation. Now he was locked in a tomb. But there was no one to respond to his cries. He touched his pocket, trying to find his phone. Although there was no internet, and he could not make a call, it was good to check the time. But after searching for a long time, there was nothing in his pocket. After touching it carefully, his pocket was cut by something. It seemed that his phone had fallen out. He did not even know the time now. Chapter 106. With a ripping sound, Yinran's sleeve was cut by a branch next to her. She turned around and saw that it was a branching branch. It was obvious that it had been broken. This should be the place where the fight was the fiercest. The collision of spiritual power and magic power formed a circle that broke all the surrounding trees. Even the stones were shaken out of the circle. Broken limbs and wreckage were scattered in front of Yinran's eyes. Her heart trembled, and she became more and more flustered. She found that all her calmness had been broken countless times in front of Xiao Xiao. She was too concerned. Yinran took a deep breath and suppressed the uneasiness in her heart. She continued to carefully search. A metallic luster flashed across her eyes. Yinran turned around, and saw a ray of light reflected from a crack in a rock. Yinran pushed aside 2 rocks. It was a cell phone. The latest and most fashionable cell phone. Yinran recognized that it was Qiao Zhao's cell phone at a glance. She picked up the cell phone and found that the screen was broken, but the screen was still lit up. Yinran pressed the power button, and her pupils suddenly shrank. The wallpaper was actually the photo of the 2 of them when they first met. Qiao Xiao was smiling like a cat that had stolen a fish. She had a cold face, as if everyone in the world was asking for a beating. She picked up the cell phone and carefully wiped the dust off with her clothes before putting it in her pocket. It seemed like it was nearby. Yinran stood up and carefully looked at the shape of the mountain. Only then did she find that it was actually in the shape of a woman. The entire mountain was a woman's body. A young woman was living in her boudoir. Other than the place that was destroyed by Qiao Xiao, every other place was very exquisite. It seemed like this empress's tomb was very particular. Yinran couldn't help but think of the words that the villagers said. It was the empress who took Qiao Xiao away. Although she didn't believe it at all, looking at this exquisite mountain, she had some doubts. A person who cherished his mausoleum so much, a person who pursued perfection, would definitely want to place all the beauty of the world by his side. And Qiao Xiao completely met her aesthetic requirements. According to the villagers, the tomb belonged to a concubine from the Western Zhou dynasty. As for who she was, they were not sure. He only knew that this was a mausoleum that had been passed down from generation to generation, and that it had to be guarded. Their ancestors had been mausoleum keepers for generations, receiving the protection of the empress, but also bearing the curse of their ancestors. Yinran knew about these ancient tombs. If he really interacted with her, he had to be fully prepared. He couldn't act rashly. However, at this moment, she couldn't find Qiao Xiao anywhere. Yinran couldn't care less. She clenched her 5 fingers, and a ball of white qi appeared in her hand. It was as thick as the clouds in the sky. She looked at the woman in front of her. This ball of white qi was heading towards the vital point of the empress' neck. Qiao Xiao was struggling to find the exit. Under Kong Xiaoming's lead, he began to wander around the entire tomb. There was a lot of blood, and Qiao Xiao felt dizzy. But if he stopped, he might bleed to death. When he was sleeping, he had already repaired himself for a while. The spirit attraction technique played an important role at this moment. Besides the external injuries, the spiritual qi had already penetrated into his limbs and bones, slowly repairing the shock to his internal organs. His 7 meridians and 8 meridians had been opened. What Qiao Xiao had to do was stop the external injuries and stop the blood from flowing out. Kong Xiaoming, I feel that I'm not only injured, but also hungry. Is there anything to eat? I'm afraid that I'll starve to death before I bleed to death. Kong Xiaoming directly replied, How can there be food in the tomb? Don't be so whimsical. Just bear with it. Qiao Xiao gnashed his teeth in hatred. I really want to chew and swallow you, you idiot. You've lived here for so many years, but you still can't find a way out. I really thought of you as a saint before. You can't blame me for that. Who told you to trigger the mechanism? Alas, I remember now. There's a place with food, but I don't know if you dare to go. Kong Xiaoming suddenly had an idea. Where? There's a place full of snakes. You can catch 1 or 2 and roast them. Qiao Xiao wanted to beat him up. These snakes are poisonous. How can they be eaten casually? What if I don't faint from hunger, but am directly poisoned to death? Why don't you roast one for me? Isn't that what you said? If you want to eat, there's only one place in this tomb with living creatures. When you're really hungry, won't you still want to eat it? Kong Xiaoming said aggrievedly. He thought he had come up with an excellent idea, but he didn't expect to be despised by Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao ground his teeth, and a rumbling sound came from his stomach. It seemed that a long time had passed. He hadn't eaten or drunk anything for so long. Would he die soon? Should he think of a wish at this time? Instead of thinking of a way to eat a poisonous snake. Qiao Xiao, go and get something to eat. I heard that snake blood and snake gall are very nutritious. You've lost so much blood. You need to replenish it quickly. Don't worry. My book tells you how to identify a poisonous snake. It also teaches you how to clean up a poisonous snake. For your own little life, you should go. Kong Xiaoming earnestly persuaded Qiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. No matter what, he had to live and find a way to get out. This damn Director Fong. After he got out, he must find a way to take revenge. Under Kong Xiaoming's command, Xiao Xiao moved step by step toward the place where the snake was. Xiao Xiao, you're too slow. When will you find the snake? It's at the bottom. King walk and see. It's not easy for me to stand up with my injuries. You want me to fly? Then think of a way. You're too slow. If I had a way, I would have used it long ago. I don't need you to tell me. Forget it. Watch me, the world's #1 Kong Xiaoming, teach you a trick. Xiao Xiao was so tired that he couldn't breathe. Hearing what he said, he sat down and said, If you have a trick, hurry up. Kong Xiaoming recovered his serious expression and sat cross-legged in the space. Follow me and do the flow of qi. Calm the heart and qi, unite the mind and mind, relax the body and mind, abdominal breathing, complement each other. You have to remember that the meridians are the people who use blood and qi to train yin and yang, and to nourish the muscles, bones, and joints. If you want to become a martial arts master, you must be able to feel the flow of your blood and qi in the meridians. The meridians are the channels of blood and qi in the human body. You have to see the state of blood and qi in the meridians with the top eye. Kong Xiaoming explained. The top eye is to use the visual function of the brain screen, or the pineal gland, to see things that can't be seen with the naked eye. It's a bit like the modern X-ray machine. Kong Xiaoming continued. You have to practice the color X-ray function. Xiao Xiao murmured. I was color-blind before, so I couldn't practice. Shut up. You can't talk when you practice. Kong Xiaoming looked at him with a look of disappointment. Practice hard. Why are you so fierce? That's why the meridians are in the body. They are floating and firm. They are bright and big. They are thin and deep. They are heavy and full of qi. Only the opposite can be seen in the internal tunnel. You have to remember, when a person exhales, the pulse moves, and the qi travels 3 inches. Kong Xiaoming continued to explain. If the meridians are in a closed state, even people with the X-ray function can't see the meridians. Only when the meridians are in an open or flowing state, people with the X-ray function can see the meridians as a bright line. The little tadpoles in Xiao Xiao's brain had been sleeping all this time. At this time, they seemed to have sensed something and all of them crawled up. They sat upright in the room and listened to Kong Xiaoming's teachings. That's why the meridians are in the body. They are floating and firm. They are bright and big. They are heavy and full of qi. They are thin and deep. They are light and full of qi. Kong Xiaoming continued to explain. The objective indicators of a bright line are brightness and width. Floating, obvious, firm, and bright are the signs of qi. On the other hand, heavy, not obvious, soft, weak, and dark, dull, are the signs of qi deficiency. The size of the bright line reflects the amount of blood flowing along the meridians. Wide bright lines have more blood, small bright lines have less blood. Different meridians have different colors. Using modern principles, when the meridians are open, not only do the vibrations of each meridian have different frequencies, their electromagnetic spectra, which may be caused by the changes in cell membrane potential when red blood cells pass through the microcirculation, will also be different. Therefore, the meridians you see with your parietal eye will have different colors. Red heart, white lung, green liver, yellow spleen, and black kidney are all normal colors of the meridians. Kong Xiaoming and Kong Ming explained alternately, making the little tadpoles in Xiao Xiao's brain feel enlightened. Next, follow my qi flow. First, enter meditation. Then, guard the Xiaozi acupoint on your left hand. When the qi is full, the qi flow will flow along the left small intestine to the heart. At this time, Xiao Xiao suddenly saw the meridians flowing on his left arm. This was a flowing bright line about the thickness of a chopstick. The brightness of the meridians was like the filament of an incandescent lamp. The outer periphery of the meridians had a light gray shadow. The flowing speed was very slow, about 2 centimeters per second. When the meridians flowed to his left shoulder, his entire arm seemed to contain an enormous amount of power. Follow my instructions, and try to make your qi flow through the other meridians. Kong Xiaoming said seriously. Think of a way to concentrate your qi on your lower body. Mobilize all of your original devil qi. I remember that you used to use devil qi as a buffer. Now that you are heavily injured, you can't use it. Now, I will teach you to concentrate all of your devil qi on your legs. You will feel that your legs are as heavy as 1,000 pieces of gold. You need to make these 2 legs as heavy as 1,000 pieces of gold, become as light as a feather. Then, you will be able to fly. Xiao Xiao was like an old monk in meditation. His qi flowed along with Kong Xiaoming's words. All of the weight pressed down on his legs. He felt that his entire body was constantly falling. He wanted to embed his 2 legs into the ground, bury them in the earth, and enter the deepest part of the mausoleum. He felt that his entire body was being pulled apart. His legs and body were being forced apart. He constantly heard Kong Xiaoming shouting, "Qi qi flow, disperse your qi in your legs. You must not fall any further. Quickly disperse your qi, release it, or else your legs and body will break." Chapter 107. At this time, Xiao Xiao was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. His whole body was being pulled down, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't bear the weight of his 2 legs. He felt that his whole body was about to sink into the ground. At this time, the speed of his upper body's descent was clearly slower than the weight of his legs. Kong Xiaoming was frantic in the space. Why can't this Xiao Xiao understand what I mean? He's going to pull himself to death soon. He anxiously grabbed his hair and kept shouting in the space, "Aura! Aura!" The little tadpoles in Xiao Xiao's mind were a little dizzy from these 2 words, but they didn't understand at all how to disperse this aura. They only knew that their master was on the verge of collapse. Kong Ming grabbed Kong Xiaoming at this time. "Don't go, is there any other way?" No, that's what the book says. There won't be any mistakes if I practice according to the book." Kong Xiaoming couldn't figure out where he had gone wrong. At this time, Xiao Xiao's body had already sunk into the soil uncontrollably, and the whole ground made a big dent for him. He had already noticed that something was wrong, but his parietal eye hadn't opened, so he couldn't see the flow of qi and blood in his meridians. He also couldn't see the color that Kong Xiaoming had mentioned. Without any external help, he could only rely on himself. It should be that the meridians in his legs were blocked, and there was no way to circulate them. If he wanted to fly, he didn't just rely on his legs, but also on his entire body. This damn Kong Xiaoming was simply the biggest cesspool in history. He wouldn't even have to pay for it if he died. He instantly retracted all the demonic energy in his body and pushed it up. The little tadpoles in his mind suddenly came back to their senses, as Xiao Xiao came to his senses. They had all fallen into Kong Xiaoming's misconception, but their master had actually figured it out himself. After all, the little tadpoles were the world's #1 spirit cultivators. They immediately understood and thought of other ways to correct their previous mistakes. Xiao Xiao circulated all the devil qi in his body from his lower body to his entire body, and the pressure on his legs suddenly decreased. He allowed it to flow upwards, past the small pearl in his dantian, leaving behind a trace of qi and blood. Then it went towards the center of his eyes. The little tadpoles completely understood their master's intention, which was to open their eyes. Once he found his train of thought and matched it with a suitable method, he would definitely be able to succeed. When Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming saw that the pressure on Xiao Xiao's legs had finally been relieved, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Kong Xiaoming began to feel depressed. Why is my method wrong? That's what the book says. You said that your spiritual sense hasn't fully grasped the essence of the whole book, right? How did you form it? Kong Ming began to question him. Kong Xiaoming was not convinced. I have cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years to become who I am now. How could I not have grasped the essence of the book? Then let me ask you, how old are you this year? I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years? Damn, you should be about the same age as me. Kong Xiaoming's eyes widened. How could that be? You are my father. I think you look like my son. But how did you live for so long? Instead, you have the appearance of a child. How would I know? People are born like this. How would I know that I won't grow up? Kong Ming stared at Kong Xiaoming for a long time. That's not right, it doesn't make sense. You should be at least as old as me after hundreds of thousands of years. Could it be that your book's pages are incomplete? Kong Xiaoming was so scared that he shivered and asked in a trembling voice. No way, don't scare me. Then, Kong Xiaoming sank into self-doubt and fear. Kong Xiaoming sat cross-legged in the space and fell into meditation. After the erosion of time, and seeing Xiao Zhao's failure, he began to worry about whether his book's pages were incomplete or other reasons. At this moment, Xiao Zhao's aura was surging up in his body. Originally, his body's demonic aura was very strong. At this time, under the guidance of Kong Xiaoming, it seemed to have gone up a level and rushed to his eyes like a flood. At this time, all of his thoughts were concentrated in between his eyes. The only thing missing was an exit. Xiao Xiao felt that he was about to break through again. Damn it, he was still seriously injured. At this time, wasn't he looking for trouble? Soon, Xiao Xiao was about to die from the pressure in his body. Every part of his body was squeezing out. The flood-like pressure was surging in his body, looking for an exit. At this time, Xiao Zhao's 5 senses were all swollen and were forced to close. The surging flood set off monstrous waves in his body, causing a trace of blood to overflow from the corner of his mouth. All the internal organs in his body were squeezed to the point that there was nowhere to escape. Xiao Xiao couldn't bear the pain of being squeezed and struggled to open his mouth. This sound was like a faucet, allowing the flood in his body to finally find an exit. All of a sudden, all of it dissipated, and his parietal eye was finally opened. The white gas in Yinran's hand went straight to the Empress' throat. A powerful force flew out, like a sharp knife, like a spear, and even more like an unstoppable bullet, directly cutting a big hole in the Empress' throat. With a loud bang, gravel flew everywhere. The surrounding trees were smashed to the point of bending. Yinran stood on the mountainside, majestic and unmoving. As for the stones, it was as if they had grown eyes. All of them bypassed her and flew to the side. Taishu's aura was indeed powerful. Yinran looked coldly at the Empress whose neck had been cut. A black hole was revealed at her neck. Yinran walked to the side of the hole, lit a tree branch, and threw it directly in. The tree branch fell into the hole and made a sound of collision, but the fire was extinguished very quickly. Yinran protected her body with a circle of white gas and directly jumped in. The place where she fell was suspended in the air. There was no landing point inside. Yinran just floated like this, floating all the way down. It was very dark inside. She lit up a ray of light that burned directly in her palm, allowing her to have a clear vision. It was very spacious and very quiet inside. Yinran listened carefully. She couldn't find Xiao Xiao outside the entire mountain. Yinran was sure that Xiao Xiao must be inside. But where could she find him in such a big place? Yinran had the thought of blowing up the entire tomb. Every second delayed, Xiao Zhao's life would be in more danger. After knowing about Director Feng's injuries, she knew that Xiao Zhao's injuries were definitely not lighter than his. She hadn't fought with Xiao Xiao before, but she knew that when she was Zixuan, Xiao Xiao couldn't beat her. Director Feng was also Zixuan. To be able to injure Director Feng like that, Xiao Xiao must have spent a lot of effort. She didn't know what kind of price he would pay. Yinran's heart was burning with anxiety. She was afraid that the Xiao Xiao she found would be a corpse. If Xiao Xiao came in, he should have directly rolled from the top to the bottom. From the position she was falling, there was no place to stop in the middle. Soon Yinran reached the bottom. There was no path around her, only empty stone walls. The light that had leaked in from the Empress' neck was completely gone. Yinran used the fire in her palm to illuminate the area. Then she gently knocked on the 4 walls. Fortunately, one of them was hollow. Yinran took a few steps back and drew a circle in the air. With a push of her palm, it was like an explosive. A stone door was blown open. The shattered stones still avoided Yinran and landed on the ground beside her. Yinran walked in. It was still empty inside. There was only a pillar in each corner. Yinran looked up and down vigilantly. She saw 4 pillars crisscrossing in the air with 2 chains hanging from them. There should be a mechanism here. Yinran didn't touch the pillars or the chains. Instead, she directly flew past them. Her body didn't touch anything in the room. Her feet also left the ground. Everything was safe. When Yanran was about to reach the opposite wall, she did what she did before. She directly opened another door in the wall and went through the wall. Her goal was to find someone. She didn't have the time to deal with these mechanisms. Just like this, Yanran quickly searched through the entire tomb room. Soon she arrived at the main hall. Xiao Zhao's parietal eye was finally opened. He had successfully advanced. After this accidental encounter, he experienced the colors, bright lines, and the meridians that were flowing in his body that Kong Xiaoming had mentioned. Previously, his inner vision could only see the small bead in his dantian. Now he could actually see the colorful blood and qi flowing in his body. Kong Xiaoming, you bastard. If it wasn't for my high perception, I would have been dismembered by you just now. Xiao Xiao felt the fatigue and discomfort in his body disappear. There was no blood on his face. He could finally continue to talk nonsense. Kong Xiaoming opened his eyes and suddenly burst into a big smile. He fawningly said to Xiao Xiao, I'm sorry, Xiao Xiao. I just checked my book again. It seems that there are a few pages missing. It's the process of how you open your parietal eye. He didn't wait for Xiao Xiao to speak. He immediately raised his hand and swore. Don't worry, there's not a single page missing. Since you've passed this stage, you'll definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Xiao Xiao rolled his eyes. With your spiritual sense, your words are incoherent. I'll be a ghost if I believe you again. It's all my fault. From now on, don't worry. I'll definitely make you the world's #1 expert. I'll definitely make up for my previous mistakes. Xiao Xiao impatiently waved his hand. All right. Stop swearing. We'll talk about it in the future. Now that I can fly, let's hurry and find something to eat. Xiao Xiao was very happy. He could finally fly inside. Although his body was in a sorry state, his eyes were bright. Even the blood on his face couldn't hide his glowing spirit. Kong Xiaoming hurriedly said, Follow me. I'll lead the way. We'll go eat a big meal. Xiao Xiao slowly flew in the air. He followed Kong Xiaoming's instructions and passed through one house after another. Kong Xiaoming repeatedly warned him, You can't touch anything. Your feet can't touch the ground. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave if you touch a trap. Xiao Xiao was obedient this time. No matter what, Kong Xiaoming had lived inside for a long time. He should be familiar with the roads. It was just that this idiot couldn't remember the exit. It really made him speechless. Xiao Xiao, don't worry. I just don't remember where the other exits are. Maybe I'll remember them as I walk. Just like that, Xiao Xiao finally arrived at the place where the snake was said to be. Chapter 108. Xiao Xiao, look, it's below. Kong Xiaoming called out to Xiao Xiao in the space. Xiao Xiao floated happily in the air, as if he was riding the clouds. Hearing Kong Xiaoming's words, he stretched his head to look down. It was this one glance that almost made him fall from the clouds. He quickly stabilized his body, closed his eyes and looked carefully. Gnashing his teeth, he shouted at Kong Xiaoming. Why didn't you say so earlier? Where are the snakes? This is simply a den of 10,000 snakes. There was a bit of light that came from nowhere, faintly shining on the bodies of the snakes below. The densely packed snakes were squeezed into a space of about 10 square meters. One snake was stacked on top of another. There was me and you and me. Kong Xiaoming proudly said, These snakes are very useful. Do you know why there are no rats in this tomb? That's because they were eaten by these snakes. Usually, they don't stay here all the time. There are also many snakes looking for rats everywhere. But later, they found that they couldn't find anything else to eat, so they stayed here. Then what I want to ask is, what do they eat? Xiao Xiao endured the churning in his heart, gritted his teeth, and asked Kong Xiaoming. They eat themselves. Don't you see that they have me and you and me? If they don't eat themselves, will they starve to death? Kong Xiaoming answered as if it was a matter of course. Xiao Xiao was so disgusted that he wanted to vomit. You want me to eat these damn things? How can these small snakes enter your mouth? They are just a bunch of small soldiers. I want you to eat their heads. They have a very large leader. It should be a giant snake of unknown age. When I was here, he was already here. Eating that snake must be very nutritious. Where is that snake? Let me see. Kong Xiaoming looked around, then pointed at Xiao Zhao's head, trembling as he said, He's right above your head, run. The last two words were so loud that it broke through the sky. Xiao Xiao was frightened. Looking up, a giant snake with a red apricot floating in its mouth pounced at him. Xiao Xiao was so scared that he quickly lowered his head and turned around, wanting to avoid it. But he still wasn't very skilled in the air. His original leisurely flying could only help him float in the air. It couldn't support him in a fight. He retreated a bit slower. The giant snake saw the delicious food in its mouth and dodged. How could it let him escape so easily? Its body as thick as 100-years-old tree trunk smashed towards Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao couldn't dodge in time, and was directly sent flying. He let out a shriek. Ah! Then he fell towards the bottom of the snake's cave. There was a sound. Yinren seemed to have suddenly heard a trace of movement. She listened carefully. It seemed to have come from her left. She sped up and quickly flew in that direction. Xiao Xiao was about to fall head first into the mouths of the snakes, waiting to be fed below. He quickly twisted his body in the air, floating out at an incredible angle. And then a burst of demonic energy erupted from his body. With a loud bang, he directly smashed a big hole in the snake pile below. The snakes in the hole were all smashed to death. And the snakes outside the hole all felt the danger and hid far away. And just like that, Xiao Xiao fell asleep on the bodies of those dead snakes. Xiao Xiao's hands supported himself on the ground, but all he touched was the slippery snake body. It was really too disgusting. After he got out, he must wash his hands 300 times. But before he could stand up, the surrounding snakes quickly pounced on him. It had been too long since they had fresh food. These snakes were really like hungry wolves pouncing on their prey, and soon they would wrap around Xiao Xiao's body. Xiao Xiao shouted at this time. You disgusting filth, you actually dare to humiliate the demon crown prince? The demonic energy surged, and the demonic energy formed a sharp blade that directly cut the snakes in half. The group of small snakes that hadn't had time to pounce forward were so scared that they didn't dare to go forward. Xiao Xiao sat in this group of snakes, constantly dealing with the attacks of the surrounding snakes, and also preventing his hands and body from touching the bodies of these dead snakes. For a while he was really flustered, but Xiao Xiao could deal with these demons and monsters, but the real boss above him was still eyeing him covetously. The giant snake's attack missed, and it twisted the body of a 100-year-old tree, opened its bloody mouth, and was about to launch a second attack on Xiao Xiao. The huge snake body pressed down on Xiao Xiao's head from the air. Xiao Xiao's eyes on the top of his head became clearer at this critical moment. There was only a trace of light in the snake pile, but Xiao Xiao saw the thick meridians on the giant snake's body, and at this time, they were attacking him like they were glowing. Humans had an invisible fear of lightning, and at this time, the meridians on the snake's body were like streaks of lightning, twisting into a winding whip, and fiercely lashing at Xiao Xiao's head. Cultivators also had an innate fear of lightning, which was a process that people who had to go through tribulation had to go through. Although Xiao Xiao was not human, he had been imperceptibly influenced by what he saw and heard. So he took the measure of rolling on the ground, trying to avoid this terrifying lightning. But he regretted it as soon as he rolled. Although his whole body was wrapped in devil chi, and the snakes could not hurt him, he had only touched the snakes with his hands. But now he had to be in close contact with the snakes. His nose was filled with the strong smell of snakes, and perhaps because of cultivation, his sense of smell was more sensitive. Waves of bad habits came back, and he could even vomit out the remnants of the food from 10 days ago. Snake mucus stuck to Xiao Xiao's body, but the lightning above his head did not reduce because of Xiao Xiao's disgust. A bolt of lightning came down and directly killed a large group of snakes, and the snakes that were originally coiled in the air had difficulty moving because their tails fell into a small space. Xiao Xiao took the opportunity to jump on the snake's tail and walked up. The snake's body was thick, and although it was slippery, it was not strenuous for Xiao Xiao to walk on it. He jogged all the way and directly ran into the air. Xiao Xiao looked up and saw that there was still a long way to go from the snake's head. He did not plan on running over, but instead directly circulated his devil chi and struck at the snake's weak point. This time, he gathered all of Xiao Xiao's devil chi. He wanted to kill the enemy in one move, but things did not go as he wished. Although the giant snake was big, it was also very agile. The devil chi only brushed past its weak point and hit the side. The giant snake was not successfully attacked, and Xiao Xiao actually saw a kind of contempt in its eyes. F***ck, you dare to look down on me? The crown prince of the demon world is not to be trifled with. The second time, the power that could topple mountains and overturn seas rushed towards the giant snake. This time, the giant snake was unable to dodge in time, and was hit head-on. The snake's body paused for a moment, and then it began to crazily twist. The giant snake's tail swung up and down in the mausoleum, and Xiao Xiao was directly thrown down. This time, he was prepared, and did not fall into the group of snakes again. Instead, he quickly floated in the air. The giant snake seemed to have gone mad, and the meridians in its body exploded. In Xiao Xiao's eyes, it had already become a dark green color, and its two snake eyes were about to emit fire. The snake's head was wide open, and the snake's tongue was straight. If it could spit fire, Xiao Xiao believed that the big fire would have already surrounded him. Xiao Xiao saw that there was hope, and then he continued to use a few killing moves, one after another, aiming for the snake's weak point. Kong Xiaoming was incomparably excited from inside the space, as if he was the one fighting. He constantly hooted, left, right, hit it. Xiao Xiao could not help but silently curse. This little brat, dropping the ball at the crucial moment. He can't help at all, and only knows how to make a ruckus. The giant snake's weak point was about to be pierced through by Xiao Xiao's devil chi, but the giant snake did not show any signs of being defeated. It continued to look for an opportunity to entangle Xiao Xiao in the air, vowing to send him into its stomach in order to relieve the hatred in its heart. Yanran quickly flew in the direction of the sound. She only heard one sound, but she was sure that it was Xiao Xiao's voice. This made her feel ecstatic. Xiao Xiao had been found, and Xiao Xiao was still alive. The sound was a bit far from her, and she estimated that there was still some distance to go. At this time, she wished that she could hold all the time in the palm of her hand, urging her to go a bit faster, a bit faster. She used all of her strength and chopped forward with her palm. The walls of the stone rooms in front of her were pierced through. She quickly passed through, but because her movements were a bit big, it caused a large echo in the entire space. Yanran blamed herself for being impatient. If she triggered a mechanism, the gains would not make up for the losses. She controlled her eagerness to fly away, and withdrew some of her strength, floating forward one room after another. Yanran counted as she walked. She had already passed through nearly 20 rooms, but she still did not see Xiao Xiao. At this time, she felt a slight shaking under her feet, and a thumping sound came. Yanran's eyes lit up. It was close. Xiao Xiao was still floating in the air, dealing with the snake. The tomb that originally felt very spacious became very narrow, because of the giant snake's crazy swinging. Xiao Xiao felt that there was no place for him in this large space. The giant snake was still accumulating its last bit of strength, wanting to fight to the death. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. This giant snake on the verge of death was like several elephants piled up, occupying the entire space of the tomb. Xiao Xiao weaved through the gaps between the giant snake's body, releasing devil chi to the 7 inches. Like a saw, the giant snake's body was cut open little by little. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the space, "Come on, Xiao Xiao, you'll succeed soon. He only has one breath left." Xiao Xiao's spirit was lifted. When he was exhausted, he finally heard such good news. He looked carefully and indeed, the snake's head was about to fall off. He had finally broken its neck. And the snake's crazy swinging also accelerated the breaking of the neck. Finally, when Xiao Xiao released the last bit of devil chi, the giant snake's crazy swinging suddenly stopped, as if the pause button had been pressed. The giant snake's head and body separated. The giant snake's mouth was still open, and 2 sharp teeth were exposed outside the mouth, shining with a gloomy white light. Xiao Xiao was very close. When he looked up, he could see the snake's tongue like a spear poking straight at him. He happened to be in a corner at this time. The snake's head was about to cover his head, and the snake's mouth was in the direction of his head. If he was hit, Those two sharp teeth might only be a little wider than his shoulders. Chapter 109. Xiao Xiao looked at the huge mouth smashing towards him. He thought that he must not let the stench from the mouth cover his face. In a moment of desperation, he flipped the down jacket on his body upside down and fiercely covered his head. Just as he covered his head and hands, the snake's head was stuck in his head. The two fangs were just as Xiao Xiao estimated, only a little wider than his shoulders. Xiao Xiao. A woman's voice filled with fear sounded. That cry was heart-wrenching, as if the entire world was about to be destroyed. It was Yanran. As soon as she entered the tomb, before she had time to look around, she saw the snake's head eat Xiao Xiao's head. And Xiao Xiao's two legs were swaying back and forth outside the snake's mouth. At this moment, her heart almost stopped beating. She had never felt fear that occupied her entire heart. At this moment, she suddenly didn't know how to fly. She suddenly fell to the ground and touched the slippery snake's body. She didn't care what it was. When she fell to the ground, her nerves were shaken awake. She bit her lips, endured the pain, and flew directly to the snake's head. She used her spiritual power to split the snake's head in half from the middle. The poor snake's head was broken 7 inches by Xiao Xiao, and then it was split in half by Yanran. Blood splashed everywhere. Xiao Xiao couldn't see anything because his head was covered. He only felt the weight of his body suddenly become light. He swayed his 4 limbs and was about to fall. Just as his hands and feet were fluttering, he was suddenly grabbed by one of his hands, and then he was pulled into an embrace. A pair of trembling hands lifted the down jacket covering his head. His face full of blood and filth appeared in front of Yanran. When Xiao Xiao saw that it was Yanran, he immediately covered his face with his hands. He was afraid that his ugly appearance would be exposed in front of Yanran. Yanran didn't care at all. She pulled away Xiao Xiao's hands and desperately stroked his face. She wiped the filth off his face and constantly called out to him, "Xiao Xiao, Xiao Xiao." Xiao Xiao still wanted to struggle and continued to cover his face, but in the chaos, he suddenly saw that Yanran's face was covered in tears. Her pair of cold eyes were filled with worry. He stopped moving and hugged Yanran's body. The faint scent of lavender lingered on the tip of his nose, finally dispelling the nausea brought about by the snake's stench by a lot. He felt that Yanran's heart was beating faster than his. He couldn't help but reach out his hand and gently stroked Yanran's back to help her relieve her tension. Everything around them seemed to not exist. The sound of the snakes crawling below, the smell of the snake in the room, couldn't affect the hearts of the 2 survivors. In the space, Kong Xiaoming and Kong Ming were startled by the sudden appearance of Yanran. Who is this? Why did a beautiful woman suddenly appear? Kong Xiaoming's eyes widened, looking at the 2 people tightly hugging each other. It's not suitable for children. Turn around, that's his girlfriend. Kong Ming turned Kong Xiaoming's head to the side. His girlfriend seems to be very awesome. Her body has a simple aura that seems to be stronger than Xiao Xiao's. Kong Xiaoming quietly whispered into Kong Ming's ear. Xiao Xiao heard their conversation, but he didn't want to pay attention to the 2 people. He was greedy for the lavender fragrance on Yanran's body. After a long time, the 2 people's heartbeats finally calmed down. Yanran wanted to push him away, but Xiao Xiao refused to raise his head and sullenly said, "Is my face swollen like a pig's head right now?" Yanran giggled. "Even if it's like a pig's head, it's still the most handsome pig's head." Xiao Xiao heard this and happily smiled. He raised his head, and Yanran saw that his entire face was deformed. His eyes were swollen, and there was a bloody hole in his forehead. Although it was no longer bleeding, it still looked very scary. His entire face was bruised, and his originally white face couldn't even be seen. Xiao Xiao was currently smiling foolishly. Apart from his mouth full of white teeth, his entire face was like a colorful palette. Wasn't it wonderful? Kong Xiaoming covered his eyes. This is more than just a pig's head. It's practically a hippopotamus. Xiao Xiao heard Kong Xiaoming's words, and his face immediately froze. He quickly covered his head with the down jacket, and covered his entire face, leaving only his eyes exposed. Yanran looked at him with a smile. "What are you doing? I'm too ugly. I can't ruin my beautiful image in your heart." Xiao Zhao's sullen voice came from the down jacket. Yanran didn't pay attention to him and began to observe the surrounding environment. At this time, she discovered that this was actually a snake cave. Below them, there were groups of snakes stretching their necks, wanting to attack them. How did you get here? Speaking of this, Xiao Zhao gritted his teeth and said, "This is the biggest scammer of the century. He said that there were snakes here to fill my stomach. I didn't expect that I would almost become someone else's dinner." Kong Xiaoming in the space shrank his neck and said unconvinced, "There are indeed snakes here. Can't you just kill it and eat it?" Xiao Zhao simply ignored him and continued to act spoiled to Yanran. "I haven't eaten for a long time. I'm starving." Yanran looked at the surrounding situation and then looked at the giant snake that was like an old tree trunk. "How about we roast some snake meat to eat? You really want to eat it? This place is too smelly. How can I eat it?" Xiao Zhao's face was bitter. "This snake is obviously a 10,000-year-old ancient snake. It's really a treasure. It would be a waste if you don't eat it. It's just right to nourish you. You rest first. I'll make it for you to eat." After saying that, Yanran directly flew to the snake's body. Using her spiritual power, she cut open the snake's belly and took out the snake's gallbladder. What a big snake gallbladder! Yanran ignored the stickiness on her hands and directly handed it to Xiao Zhao. "Swallow it." Xiao Zhao looked at the snake gallbladder that was as big as his fist and couldn't help but feel creeped out. "Yanran, are you telling me to swallow this?" "Yes, this is very nutritious. Eat it while it's hot." Yanran looked at him with sparkling eyes. "In a while, drink some snake blood. I think you should have lost a lot of blood. Replenish your energy." Xiao Zhao looked at the snake gallbladder. It was trembling and still emitting steam. He felt nauseous. "Yanran, can I discuss with you? This snake gallbladder is so nutritious. Why don't you eat it?" "No, you're seriously injured right now. It's the most effective for you. After you eat it, your body will immediately recover. Be good, be obedient and eat it." "But Yanran, have you noticed that this snake gallbladder is bigger than my mouth?" Xiao Zhao looked at Yanran's insistence. It should not be allowed to be refused. He still wanted to make a final struggle. Yanran looked at him with a smile. "Open your mouth. Let me see which is bigger, your mouth or the snake gallbladder." Xiao Zhao had no choice but to take off his down jacket and open his mouth wide. Yanran took the snake gallbladder and compared it to his mouth. "Open it a little bigger. It's a little small. Open it a little bigger." Xiao Zhao closed his eyes and opened his mouth wider and wider. When he reached his limit, Yanran directly pressed his neck and stuffed the snake gallbladder into his mouth. Then, without knowing which of his acupuncture points, Xiao Zhao began to swallow. But the snake's gallbladder was too big, and it was stuck in his throat. Xiao Zhao's face was flushed red from the pressure. He pointed to his throat and wanted to say that he was going to choke to death. However, Yanran completely ignored him. She knocked on his body left and right, forcing him to swallow the snake gallbladder bit by bit. Finally, after passing through his throat, Xiao Zhao gasped for breath. At this time, the snake gallbladder bulged in his stomach. Xiao Zhao pointed to Yanran. There was a big bulge in his chest. "Yanran, I just realized that you are so violent." Yanran looked around. "There is no water here now. You need to drink snake blood now. Otherwise, the snake gallbladder can't be digested. You will feel more uncomfortable, and your stomach will burst." Xiao Zhao was scared to death. "Yanran, I beg you, don't torture me anymore. Since the snake gallbladder has been eaten, let me die on my own." "No, it was not easy for you to survive. How can you not make up for it?" Yanran dug out a piece of meat from the snake and made it into a small bowl. Then she filled it with snake blood. "Come, Xiao Zhao, drink it." Xiao Zhao was scared and stepped back. At this time, Yanran pulled him and said to Xiao Zhao in the most seductive voice, "Be good, drink it. If you don't drink it, I will feed you myself." It was as if Xiao Zhao had been bewitched. Seeing Yanran's mouth open and close, he opened his thin lips as well. Just like that, Yanran poured the snake blood down his throat, mouthful by mouthful. Xiao Zhao hadn't drunk water for a long time. The snake blood moistened his lips and warmed his whole body. His exhausted body was filled with strength because of the snake blood. Yinran gave Xiao Xiao 3 big bowls of snake blood. Knowing that Xiao Xiao couldn't drink anymore, the snake gallbladder and snake blood stirred in his stomach. No, Yinran. I am so full that I feel uncomfortable. I will not drink anymore. Then Xiao Xiao squatted on the ground and refused to get up. Yinran still didn't let him go. No, your stomach is uncomfortable now. You must get up and walk. Follow me, and we will find the exit. You will not feel so uncomfortable in your stomach if you divert your attention. Xiao Xiao had no choice. He rubbed his stomach and followed Yinran. Yinran still used the original method, searching the tomb room by room. Only then did Xiao Xiao realize that the inside of the tomb was actually so big. No wonder Kong Xiaoming was lost. Every room was similar. There was nothing special about each room. They walked around and couldn't see anything. It was good for him to follow Yinran. Yinran lit a small flame in the palm of her hand, illuminating the way forward. Xiao Xiao looked at Yinran in front of him. He suddenly felt that he didn't need to worry about anything. With a big tree like Yinran in front of him, he was really happy. He didn't know how Yinran came here. Could it be that whenever he was in trouble, Yinran had telepathy? But now was the time to find the exit. It wasn't time to stop and talk. He had to find a place with water to clean himself. The stench on his body was really unbearable. His whole body was filled with the smell of blood. It was really unbearable. Kong Xiaoming sighed in the space. Even he dislikes it. This girl doesn't dislike it. It must be true love. Xiao Xiao liked to hear this sentence. He smiled and rubbed his stomach as he followed behind Yinran. Chapter 110. After Yinran made a big circle, she finally opened the biggest exit. An ray of light pierced through. Yinran turned around and smiled at Xiao Xiao. It should be here. The two of them walked out, and only then did they realize that they had directly opened a hole in the Empress Mountain. When they came out of the hole, they felt that they were already at the foot of the mountain. It was as if a lifetime had passed, and they could see the light again. Xiao Xiao was overjoyed. Yinran was still the best. He didn't know when he would be able to come out after following the bullsh *T Kong Xiaoming. Xiao Xiao glanced at a small stream not far ahead. He immediately said to Yinran, "Yinran, wait for me. I'll clean myself up." After saying that, he ran away. Yinran couldn't help laughing. She had never seen a boy who cared so much about his appearance. Xiao Xiao's voice came from afar. "Don't peek." Xiao Xiao saw the water, and as if he had seen the most precious thing in the world, he immediately hugged it. It was still cold, and he didn't care. He directly took off all his clothes and jumped into the water. The cold water made him shiver. But for a heart that loved beauty, this cold was nothing. He carefully cleaned himself from top to bottom, and finally, the stench on his body disappeared. At this time, he remembered that he had washed himself clean, but his clothes were still smelly. What should he do? He had no choice but to pick 1 or 2 relatively clean inner clothes and sweaters to wear. He couldn't keep the down jacket, so he put on a pair of trousers. It was really cool, but at this time, he didn't feel cold at all. Maybe it was the snake gallbladder and snake blood that made his body hot. After cleaning up, he was about to turn back to find Yinran. But when he turned back, he found that Yinran was behind him. Xiao Xiao instantly stuttered. You, how long have you been here? I just came over and didn't see you taking a shower. I also washed my face and hands." Yinran rolled her eyes at him. Xiao Xiao secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming burst into laughter in the space. Kong Xiaoming laughed and rolled on the ground. "Xiao Xiao, although she didn't see you taking a bath, she saw you changing your clothes." Xiao Xiao's face instantly darkened. He viciously replied to Kong Xiaoming in his mind, "Your brother Qiao, I have a good figure. I'm not afraid to look." Xiao Xiao went back to the village with Yinran. Everyone was shocked when they saw Xiao Xiao come back. Daniel was overjoyed. Brother Xiao Xiao had finally returned. He blinked his starry eyes and asked, "Brother Qiao, why did the Empress let you return?" This question was also the concern of the other villagers. Xiao Xiao's face was swollen as he let out a terrifying laugh. "The Empress probably saw that I was too ugly and let me return." Everyone nodded in agreement. The village chief patted Xiao Xiao's shoulder. Young man, don't worry. You'll be handsome again. It seemed that the villagers' faith in the empress had reached a point of blindness. Xiao Xiao didn't know how to explain it, but now it seemed that there was no need to explain. Xinho rushed out of the house and gave Xiao Xiao a hug. He happily said, I knew you'd be fine. If such a handsome person were to die like this, then there would be no justice. Xiao Xiao looked at Xinho and forcefully pulled the corners of his mouth. He patted his shoulder and said, You're my brother. A friend in need is a friend indeed. With Xiao Xiao's return, the poverty alleviation work was completed. The group of people bid farewell to the villagers and set foot on the road home. Daniel pulled Xiao Xiao's arm and cried until he was a mess. Only when Xiao Xiao gave him his phone number and told him that he could come and find him, when he grew up, did the child reluctantly let go. The group of people wandered around for another day before finally returning to Nanchuan. It was already late. Although the spiritual energy in Nanchuan wasn't as dense as in the valley, it was still a place that they were used to living in. A wave of familiarity hit them in the face. Everyone felt as if they had returned home and relaxed their bodies. After everyone parted ways, Yinran directly went home with Xiao Xiao. Uncle Wu saw that Xiao Xiao's face was unrecognizable. He was so distressed that he hurriedly took the medicine to treat his wound. However, Xiao Xiao didn't take it seriously. Uncle Wu, don't worry. Yinran has already treated me. I'm fine now and full of strength. The wound on your face still needs to be treated. It's not good if your face is disfigured. This poked at Xiao Xiao's sore spot. He couldn't let his face be disfigured. He sat on the sofa obediently and let Uncle Wu treat his wound. Yinran sat next to him and looked at him. Sometimes she grimaced, sometimes she was mischievous. Now Yinran couldn't see his little black bun. If he were here, who knew what kind of expression he would have? Xiao Xiao knew that Yinran had something to ask him. After treating his wound, he simply pulled Yinran into his room. Last time, it was that person. He directly started the topic. This time he wanted to kill me. Yinran's eyes suddenly became cold. And he was very strange. I couldn't understand what he said. What did he say? He said something about wanting me to pay for his grandson's life. I don't even know who his grandson is. Yinran became more serious about this matter. I know about this. His grandson died some time ago. What? His grandson died? Yes, he fell into the water and died. What does his grandson's death have to do with me? Why do I have to pay with my life? This is also what I don't understand. Yinran glanced at Xiao Xiao and continued to ask him, was it very painful? Xiao Xiao curled his lips. It's not painful now. At that time, he tied me up and slammed me into the mountain. How can it not be painful? All the bones in my body were about to be broken. Yinran's heart suddenly shrank. It was a kind of heartache. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? What does it have to do with you? Actually, I already knew that he was the one who hurt you last time. But I didn't tell you. Xiao Xiao was stunned. Even so, I can't let you apologize. It has nothing to do with you. There are millions of people in this world. How can I blame you for my injury? He's a cultivator. He should be a master of Zishuan. But he's not in our sequence. Okay. Xiao Xiao waved his hand. That has even less to do with you. Don't blame yourself. This time, you saved me. I should thank you. Okay, let's not thank each other. Drink more water tonight. You'll probably feel very thirsty after drinking a snake's gallbladder. I'll stay in your guest room tonight. If you feel uncomfortable, call me. Xiao Xiao was very happy. Yinran, you're so good to me. Last time you stayed at my house for a night. Later, I asked Uncle Wu to prepare many sets of your clothes. There's everything. It's in the room next door. Go take a shower and change your clothes. If you need anything, just let me know. Xiao Xiao happily sent Yinran back to the guest room. At this time, Xiao Xiao finally had time to look at himself in the mirror. In the mirror, he looked like a monster with fangs and claws. I didn't expect that Yinran wouldn't dislike me after I wandered around with this face for a day. Xiao Xiao became happier and happier as he thought about it. He directly danced on the bed. At night, as Yinran said, Xiao Xiao started to feel thirsty. He drank cup after cup of water, but it was not enough. His whole body felt hot and dry. He took off all his clothes and only wore a pair of underwear. He opened the window and adjusted the temperature in the room to 19 degrees Celsius. However, it still could not lower the temperature in his blood. He simply went to take a cold shower. The cold water splashed on his body and made him feel a little better. However, it only eased for a few seconds. The temperature in his blood seemed to adjust immediately and began to heat up again. After taking a shower, Xiao Xiao did not dry himself. He directly went to the window and let the wind blow. The winter wind was still very cold, but it could not suppress the heat in Xiao Xiao's heart at all. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at him strangely. Xiao Xiao, why are you not sleeping in the middle of the night? Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. I'm dying from the heat. Oh, you drank snake blood today. It must be hot. You also ate snake gall. Have you digested it now? I don't know if I've digested it or not, but my stomach is not too full. It's just that I'm very hot right now. I don't know why it's so hot. Xiao Xiao poured a large cup of cold water. Soon, the cup of cold water was immediately absorbed. Now his body was like a sponge. He absorbed as much as he could without leaving any residue. Xiao Xiao now regretted that he did not have a freezer at home. He could hide in it for a while to cool down. You can't go on like this, Kong Ming said in the space. What if you explode and die? How can I explode and die? I'm hot right now, but I don't feel like I'm going to explode. I know now. What you drank wasn't ordinary snake blood. That was a 10,000-year-old snake spirit. How can an ordinary person withstand its blood and snake gall? No matter how powerful you are, you're still made of flesh and blood. I'm the crown prince of the demon world. Good, good, good. You are the crown prince of the demon world. But I don't think you can withstand this 10,000-year-old soul. Just wait and see. Let's see if you can withstand it. Then what should I do? It's all because of you, Kong Xiaoming. You insisted on taking me to eat the snake. Kong Xiaoming said with grievance. That Yinran fed you. I didn't let you eat it. I saw you enjoying it very much when you were eating it. That's a beautiful woman feeding you. You're just enjoying yourself. Xiao Xiao was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He directly called out to Kong Ming. Is there any way to relieve my heat? Kong Ming calmed down and searched his memory for a way to solve this problem. He finally found it. He stammered to Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao, I found that your symptoms are the same as the symptoms of an ancient aphrodisiac. His voice became softer and softer. Do you want to find Yinran to solve it? Xiao Xiao's brain exploded when he heard this. He gritted his teeth and said, Kong Ming, I thought you were a decent person. How could you be led astray by Kong Xiaoming in just 2 days? I know it's a little unbelievable, but your symptoms are the same as that one. Kong Ming lowered his head awkwardly after saying that. Xiao Xiao was speechless at these two weirdos. Why would I accept you too? You can't do anything right. You're just digging a hole for me to jump into. He kept running around the room and turned the air conditioner to the coldest setting. He stood in front of the air conditioner and blew at it, but he couldn't calm down. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Chapter 111. The cold wind outside the window blew into the room. Xiao Xiao closed his eyes to enjoy the breeze. When he heard the knock on the door, he thought that he was hallucinating. Who would come so late at night? It must be the sound from outside. Sure enough, after a while, a cat's meow came from outside. It sounded especially mournful in the wind. Xiao Xiao ignored the knock on the door and continued to enjoy the breeze with his eyes closed. Yinran, who was standing at the door, knocked for a while, but no one came to open the door. There was also no movement inside. She couldn't help but worry. Just now, she heard the knocking sound from next door. She knew that Xiao Xiao would definitely be uncomfortable at night. She wanted to see if she could help. However, no one responded to her. Yinran was anxious. She thought that something had happened to Xiao Xiao again. She directly chanted an incantation and opened the door. A picture of a handsome man suddenly appeared in front of her. Xiao Xiao was wearing a pair of boxer shorts. His back was facing her, and his limbs were spread out. His whole body was spread out in front of the open window. His body was more perfect than a model's. He had the golden ratio. His 2 long legs were slender and straight. However, he didn't look like a woman's. Xiao Xiao's body was full of masculine strength. It was beautiful and seductive. Xiao Xiao heard the noise and directly turned around. His whole body was exposed in front of Yanran. His white and flawless body was completely exposed in front of Yanran for the first time. His perfect eight-pack was faintly discernible under the faint light. Not to mention Xiao Xiao. Yanran instantly blushed and turned around. Xiao Xiao exclaimed and hurriedly went to the bed to find his clothes. At this time, his heart was beating very fast. His body was originally hot. After hearing Kong Ming's words, he just had some thoughts. He didn't expect that Yanran would directly send herself to his door. Just now, Yanran's graceful glance really stunned Xiao Xiao. In order to sleep, Yanran took off her usual formal clothes and wore a silk pajama. Although it was very conservative, because of the good material and the cold wind in his room, the whole lapel was blown to Yanran's body. The ponytail on Yanran's head was loosened and draped gracefully over her shoulders, adding 8 points of charm to her overall appearance. Xiao Xiao quickly put on his shirt and pants, but the throbbing of his body could not deceive him. He quickly sat down and covered himself with the quilt. Then he said to Yanran in a hoarse voice, "It's done." When Yanran turned around again, her face had returned to normal. The two of them looked at each other awkwardly, and then looked away. Yanran coughed. "Why did you make the room so cold?" Xiao Xiao seemed to have just reacted. "Are you afraid of the cold? I'll close the window." When he wanted to get up, he found that he could not move at all. Fortunately, Yanran had already got up to close the window, but because the window was closed, Xiao Xiao's body began to heat up again. "Yanran, I." He stuttered, not knowing how to tell Yanran about his situation. "What's wrong? Do you feel a little uncomfortable?" Yanran helped him say this sentence. "Yes, I feel hot all over. I feel like I'm going to die from the heat." Yanran frowned. She could not figure out why it was like this. "Didn't you just eat a snake's gallbladder and drink a little snake's blood?" Xiao Xiao secretly glanced at Yanran and whispered, "Yanran, do you think it's because this snake is a 10,000-year-old snake spirit, so its gallbladder and blood can't be drunk? Is there such a thing? I only know that this kind of old snake is very nourishing. You were seriously injured at that time. You see, as soon as you ate it, you immediately recovered. Are there any sequelae?" Yanran herself could not figure it out. Yanran raised her hand and directly touched Xiao Xiao's forehead. As soon as Yanran's hand touched Xiao Xiao's forehead, Xiao Xiao quickly hid back as if he had been electrocuted. Yanran could not help but feel strange. "Don't move. Let me see if you have a fever." Xiao Xiao closed his eyes as if he was facing death. He leaned against the bed and let Yanran's hand touch his forehead. As soon as Yanran's hand touched Xiao Xiao's forehead, Xiao Xiao sighed comfortably, but Yanran was shocked. "Why is it like boiling water? I feel like I can't do it. You're hot. It's almost 50 degrees. Yanran was a little anxious. "Why is it like this?" Xiao Xiao opened his eyes and looked at Yanran. He said to her pleadingly, "Yanran, your hand is so comfortable. Can you lend it to me?" After that, he did not care whether Yanran agreed or not. He directly pulled her hand over and put it on his face. Yanran's hand was soft and cold. It was very comfortable on his face, like holding an ice cube. Xiao Xiao could not help but want more. He could not help swallowing, and his Adam's apple moved up and down. Damn! It seemed that Kong Ming was right. He and Yanran were both tricked by Kong Xiaoming. Now he saw Yanran, like a walking aphrodisiac, teasing his nerves all the time. He swallowed hard, closed his eyes again, and maintained the position of holding her hand. He did not dare to say anything, but he did not let go. Yanran had never encountered such a situation, and the books she had read did not mention it. She took out her phone and searched on Baidu, but after she finished searching and got the answer, she did not know what to do. She suddenly felt as if the chair under her, but had grown nails, and she was sitting on pins and needles. She wanted to pull her hand back, but Xiao Xiao held it tightly. His face kept rubbing in her palm, and the heat from his palm burned Yanran's heart. She pulled her hand back, stood up, and said to Xiao Xiao in a panic, "Drink more water and rest early. I'll go back first." But before she could take 2 steps, Xiao Xiao suddenly jumped up from the bed and hugged her from behind. Yinran, I beg you. Let me hug you. I'll just hug you. Yinran's foot felt like it had been nailed. Perhaps Xiao Xiao had used too much strength, but her whole body was about to be embedded in Xiao Xiao's body. Yinran did not dare to move. Her face was red, and her heart was beating fast. Her hot body made her forehead sweat, and she felt that she had a fever. Xiao Xiao rubbed against her back, and his left and right faces were on her back. Yinran's back felt Xiao Xiao's hot temperature, and it was getting hotter and hotter. It was like a furnace, and the air conditioner in the room did not seem to work. After the temperature rose rapidly, Yinran could not take it anymore. She forced Xiao Xiao's hands away, opened the door and rushed out. Xiao Xiao was pushed to the ground. He smiled bitterly. It's over. The first thing Yinran did when she returned to the room was to open the window and let the cold air in. It blew white on her face and cold on her body. After calming down, she thought, what should I do with Xiao Xiao? She struggled for a long time and finally climbed into bed. She buried her head in the quilt and did not want to think about anything. The next morning, Uncle Wu went to wake Xiao Xiao up. He saw that he had fallen asleep by the window, and the cold wind was blowing on his naked body. Uncle Wu was shocked and quickly woke him up. Young master, what's wrong with you? Why are you in the cold wind? Xiao Xiao said with a hoarse voice, I'm fine. I'm finally much better. After a night of torture, Xiao Xiao's fever had basically dissipated. His whole body was sticky, as if there was something dirty on the surface of his skin. He went to take a shower and felt refreshed. He looked at himself in the mirror. His whole body was as if it had been detoxified. There was not a single wrinkle on his body. It was like a whole piece of sparkling and translucent jade, emitting a sparkling and translucent luster on the surface of his skin. The wounds on his body seemed to have disappeared overnight. Not even a trace of a mark was left. It was as if they had never happened. Xiao Xiao looked at him and smacked his lips. This is too amazing. Such a beautiful body. I'm about to fall in love. I wonder if Yinran liked it when she saw it yesterday. Uncle Wu, is Yinran up? Call her to have breakfast together. Xiao Xiao raised his eyebrows at himself in the mirror and tidied his messy bangs. Miss Yinran got up early in the morning and left. She told me to take you to the hospital if you still feel unwell. Hearing that Yinran had left, Xiao Xiao was a little disappointed. However, he thought that it would be a little awkward for them to meet. Then I'll go to school later. Young master, have you forgotten? You've been delayed for many days. The school is already on holiday. Xiao Xiao looked at the date. It was true. Then didn't I miss the final exam? Your grades are very good now. If you don't take the exam, the school won't expel you. Also, you went to help the poor. Miss Yinran told me that you had an accident. What happened? I just met a crazy person. He's Zishuan. He wanted to kill me. Young master, how did you escape? How is that person now? Uncle Wu was very nervous when he heard that. I heard that he was seriously injured in the hospital. Alas, it's a long story. Uncle Wu, you don't have to worry. Anyway, I'm fine now. Xiao Xiao didn't want Uncle Wu to worry too much. He was determined to practice hard. He couldn't be controlled by others anymore. Every time, he had to rely on Yinran to save him. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, he didn't have to go to school. Xiao Xiao was happy and relaxed. He began to study Kong Xiaoming at home. Kong Xiaoming felt very apologetic in his heart. He had watched Xiao Xiao suffer so much. He swore and pointed to the sky and the earth and the space. Xiao Xiao, don't worry. I didn't learn well and didn't think it through. I let you suffer so much. You can practice according to the method I told you. There won't be any problems. I've done all the homework in advance. If there's a problem, you can throw me out of the space. From now on, I'll wander the world without anyone to rely on. I'll live a miserable life that's worse than death. Xiao Xiao was skeptical of his words. It was better for him to confirm with Kong Xiaoming. Xiao Xiao, don't worry. This time I'll keep an eye on him. When he's practicing, if there's any abnormality, I'll immediately help you interrupt him. Sometimes he's not in tune. He always plays the zither incorrectly. This son, I suspect that his original book is incomplete, so his spiritual sense can't grow. But you still have to believe that he's like the world's #1 spirit master. Even if he practiced half of the book, he can still become the world's #1 martial artist. Only practicing half of the book, and he can become the world's #1 martial artist? Idiot. Chapter 112. No matter what, he had to give it a try. Xiao Xiao went into seclusion, cut off all contact with the outside world, and locked himself in his room. After Yinran left Xiao Xiao's house, she went directly to the hospital where Director Fang was. Because the medical conditions in the county were poor, Director Fang's injury was very serious. He was quickly transferred back to Nanchuan City Hospital for treatment. Yinran sneaked into the hospital at night. Director Fang was still in the intensive care unit, and there was a nurse beside him 24 hours a day. Yinran didn't have a chance to talk to him alone. She watched from the window, hoping to sneak in when the nurse dozed off. Time passed by. Yinran hid in the darkness, but the lights in the intensive care unit were as bright as day. The nurse would check on Director Fang's condition every once in a while and record some of his data. Director Fang kept groaning on the bed. He looked like he was in great pain. Yinran saw him struggle to raise his hand, but the nurse didn't notice it at all. After recording the data, she walked to the side. At this time, the door of the intensive care unit opened, and a fully armed doctor walked in. His whole head was wrapped in protective clothing and protective glasses, so his face couldn't be seen at all. After he came in, he nodded at the nurse, then walked to Director Fang's bedside. He lifted his eyelids, took out a flashlight, and looked at the drip hanging on the bedside. He casually took off the drip bottle and injected the medicine from the syringe in his hand into the bottle. Director Fang just stared blankly at the doctor doing this. After waiting for a while, as if to confirm that the medicine was in the body, the doctor bent down and whispered something in Director Fang's ear. Then Yinran saw Director Fang's eyes suddenly widen, and his body began to struggle desperately. However, due to his severe injuries, he couldn't move much. He could only struggle like a dying fish on the beach, struggling for his life. Yinran found it strange. Then, the doctor patted Director Fang on the shoulder and walked out of the room. Gradually, Director Fang stopped struggling on the bed, as if he had fallen asleep. When the nurse came to record the data again, she was so scared that the notebook in her hand fell to the ground, and she quickly ran out. As she was running, she accidentally pulled the cord of the heart monitor, and the screen turned towards Yinran. Yinran's pupils shrank when she saw the screen. The electrocardiogram showed a straight line. Director Fang of the District Education Bureau accidentally slipped from a mountain during his poverty alleviation work. He was seriously injured and died in the hospital. The black news became the headline on the official website of Nanchuan City. People who saw the news sighed. He sacrificed himself for education and fought on the front line of the education battlefield. In the end, he dedicated his entire life to the cause of education. What a noble spirit and great strength. Hua Gang looked at the news report and sneered. He looked like a role model, but he wasn't a villain. It was just that he was too weak. He couldn't even handle Xiao Xiao. In the end, he had to clean up the mess. Xiao Xiao was really lucky. It seemed that he had to come up with a better plan. Yinran held the newspaper. Director Fang was gone, right under her nose. This was unexpected. The whole thing was confusing, like a big net covering Yinran's heart. She knew that there must be something wrong with the doctor that night. But who would have such a big grudge against Director Fang? First his grandson died, and now he died. But all of these seemed to be related to Xiao Xiao. Yinran knew very well that the doctor that night couldn't be Xiao Xiao. But why was it so strange? It was always related to Xiao Xiao. Was it a coincidence or a conspiracy? Old Fang was gone? Elder Yin felt it incredible when he saw the news. His comrade in arms for many years, a chess piece hidden in the human world, was gone just like that? What a pity. Elder Yin didn't think much about it. He just felt it was a pity. It seemed that he had to find another chess piece. Life was just like that. It might seem valuable, but when a person truly passed away, other than sighs and memories, there was nothing left. Xiao Xiao knew nothing about these things at home. He only knew that he had to become stronger, and not be bullied like this anymore. Kong Xiaoming and Kong Ming made a series of training plans for him. With the help of the little tadpoles in his mind, Xiao Zhao's magic power grew by leaps and bounds. The Ancient Invincible was the original title of Kong Xiaoming's book. According to Kong Xiaoming, it actually came from the Devil World. Because the name revealed too much information, the Devil World was afraid of causing trouble, so they changed it to Invincible. There were a total of 8 skills: Flying Fire Meteor, Magical Power Critical Strike, Fire Riding Wind, Flame Seal Guard Seal, Flying Sand and Stones, Devil's Power, and Samadhi True Fire. Flying Fire Meteor could summon meteorites to attack random opponents. The higher the level, the more meteorites it could summon, and the more times it could attack in succession. Xiao Xiao, take it one step at a time. Start with Flying Fire Meteor. Kong Xiaoming, are you kidding me? Summon meteorites? Why don't you let me fly? Xiao Xiao did not believe in Kong Xiaoming's ability at all. Kong Xiaoming almost hit the ground with his head. This is an ancient book passed down from ancient times. The 6 realms are fighting over it. How many people have sacrificed themselves for it? You're pissing me off. Xiao Xiao was amused. You look like a child, and you call yourself an old man? Okay, I'll do as you say. If I can't summon the meteorites, I'll hold you accountable. Kong Xiaoming's voice became a little low. Anyway, that's what the book says. Xiao Xiao stopped smiling and sat upright. According to Kong Xiaoming's method, he guided the aura to circulate around his body. This time, he not only had to pay attention to his heart. According to Kong Xiaoming, he also had to exchange his aura with the heavens and earth to form a psychic link. Only in this way could he summon the meteorites. Xiao Xiao did not believe in this kind of mysterious thing at all. In addition, Kong Xiaoming was unreliable before. If he could not summon the meteorites, he could probably summon the stones. Under Kong Xiaoming's ardent expectations, Xiao Xiao reluctantly decided to trust him again. The sentences in Invincible were mysterious. Kong Xiaoming translated, and the little tadpoles understood in depth. Ordinary people really couldn't learn it. Only Xiao Zhao's advantage, after obtaining the heavenly Duan, allowed him to gradually learn it. After a few big cycles in the body, the aura came to his dantian. The pearl wrapped in the lotus flower in his dantian had already grown a little, and was emitting a faint golden light. Xiao Zhao's parietal eye had already opened. Not only could he see the circulation of the meridians, he could also see the shape and color of the Jin Dan in his dantian. The aura in the demonic scripture was different from normal. The aura did not circulate around the whole body, but around the Jin Dan. Xiao Xiao focused his mind and focused all his thoughts here. The light in his meridians became stronger and stronger, and flowed towards the Jin Dan. Soon, the Jin Dan was wrapped up, and Xiao Xiao gradually couldn't see clearly, but he could clearly feel that several of his meridians were burned to the point of pain. Especially the heart meridian of Hanxiaoyin, and the pericardium meridian of Hanjuyan, the spleen meridian of Foot Taiyin, and the liver meridian of Foot Juyan, were also wrapped up by a warm current. Xiao Xiao felt the Jin Dan slowly start to rotate, bringing with it a gust of wind. This gust of wind immediately affected several of his meridians. The ones he felt the most were the Hanxiaoyin heart meridian and the Hanjuyan pericardium meridian. The gust of wind brought fire from an unknown place to the center of his palm in an instant. Xiao Zhao's hand was burned until it trembled. At this time, his 2 palms were facing each other, forming an intelligent hand seal. The force of wind and fire attacked. The pain came in the blink of an eye, followed by the burning of his entire palm. Xiao Xiao wanted to separate his 2 hands. Kong Xiaoming, who was carefully observing in the space, said anxiously, "Xiao Xiao, you can't move. Endure it. If you can't endure this, you won't be able to learn this technique. It really King hurts." Xiao Zhao's previous difficulty in cultivating was also due to this reason. It hurts. Endure it. Endure it. Think about how you were tortured. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the space. He really touched a sore spot. Was there a need to mention his miserable history of being tortured at this time? Xiao Zhao's face was full of disdain. But you don't say, it really worked. Thinking about Director Feng's cruel face, Xiao Xiao gritted his teeth. LF asterisk king fight. Next time, see if I don't beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the floor. Xiao Xiao found that after he calmed down, he didn't know where his confidence and perseverance came from. But he stubbornly clenched his teeth and endured. Although the skin on his hands didn't change much on the surface, his 2 meridians were already on fire. Xiao Xiao didn't know if it was normal, but he didn't distract himself. He could only watch as his meridians burned in his body. The fire burned more and more fiercely, showing no signs of stopping. Xiao Xiao was already sweating because of the fire, and his clothes felt like they were soaked in water. If he had known earlier, he would have worn less. Now, clothes on Xiao Xiao's body were a burden. He gritted his teeth and endured it. His head was already a little dizzy from the heat. The tadpoles in his head were also like a steamer, being steamed until they were dizzy and disoriented. In the end, they could only lie down in the room like steamed dough with their stomachs sticking out. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming kept cheering Xiao Xiao on in the space. Xiao Xiao, you have to hold on. It'll be fine after a while. Xiao Xiao's mind jumped out a few words. How long will it take? These few words had already challenged his limit. When he was distracted, the pain immediately increased. He didn't know how the people who were being burned endured, but he really couldn't take it anymore. Xiao Xiao, you have to believe in yourself. You are the prince of the devil world. If even you can't cultivate invincible, then no one else can. Kong Ming also cheered him on. Come on. Come on. You are the prince of the devil world. When the fire burns all your meridians, you will be free. When you say burn, are you sure you don't mean burn? Xiao Xiao looked at his meridians surrounded by fire. He couldn't bear to look at it. He was afraid that he would suddenly smell the burnt protein. Finally, the fire reached its peak and began to decrease. Although Xiao Xiao saw that the strength of the fire had decreased, the pain was increasing. Xiao Xiao felt as though he was at the mouth of a volcano. The surrounding temperature was so high that he couldn't bear it. The magma was surrounding him, and all the water in his body was being sucked dry. His originally wet clothes were being dried, then soaked again and dried again. This was really killing him. When would it end? Chapter 113. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the space. 5 more minutes. Hold on, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. Use your breath to relieve the pain. Breathing also took a lot of effort, and every time he breathed, he felt like he was breathing into a scorching fire, burning his entire respiratory tract. Xiao Xiao followed his breathing and focused his mind on the 2 burning meridians, ignoring the pain in the other parts of his body. Okay, I'll do it. 5 more minutes. Xiao Xiao clenched his teeth and held on. His face was already somewhat deformed, and from a distance, it destroyed his original beauty, making him look somewhat ferocious. For the first time, Xiao Xiao didn't care about his appearance. At this time, he only knew that the 2 burning meridians in his body were pulling him, tearing him apart, desperately fighting against the fire demon. In the end, the flame finally burned the entire meridians from head to toe. Only when there was nothing left to burn did the flame gradually extinguish. The meridians that had been burned by the flame had now become translucent like 10,000-year-old amber. The color was like honey, and the light was like wax. There was a greasy glow on the outside, and a precious glow on the inside. The color of the 2 meridians was no longer just a bright color. Instead, it seemed to have become more vivid. The surface of the meridians was simple and unadorned, but it didn't dry up. Instead, it faintly revealed a warm and flexible luster. Quick, this is the time. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the space. Hurry up and concentrate, prepare to communicate with the spirit. Xiao Xiao had just recovered from the pain, and didn't know how to continue. He didn't know how to communicate with the spirit. His newly refined meridians gathered the spiritual energy and returned to his dantian. Kong Xiaoming continued to shout. From your dantian, move the golden bead to the Baihui acupoint on the top of your head, and let it communicate with the spirit. Xiao Xiao tried to move the bead in his dantian, according to Kong Xiaoming's instructions, but the bead didn't listen to him at all. It was still slowly rotating in his dantian, and there was no sign of it moving at all. Xiao Xiao tried several times, but to no avail. He really didn't have the energy to continue. No, I need to rest, I'm exhausted. After saying that, he immediately called it a day and lay on the bed, unwilling to move again. Kang Xiaoming anxiously asked in the space. Look at you. You've only practiced half of it, and you're not continuing. When will you finish? Kang Ming pulled Kang Xiaoming over and sat him down. All right, don't be anxious. Let him cultivate. This is a long-term thing. How can you eat a fat person in one bite? Today Qiao Xiao burned 2 of his meridians. He must be exhausted. Let him rest for a while. Kang Xiaoming was speechless. He continued to shout in the space. How can your cultivation be so weak? What have you been doing all these years? It's such a waste. You're the crown prince of the devil world. You've wasted all the good genes that the devil monarch passed down to you. You. Grind your teeth. Qiao Xiao also felt that it was strange. As the crown prince of the devil world, he seemed to be no different from others. There were no shortcuts on the path of cultivation. The Devil King's genes were not passed to him at all. He could only easily succeed in some non-standard spells, such as the Spirit Attraction spell, the world's #1 spirit spell. Depressing. Let's take it slow. Cultivation isn't something that can be done overnight. The Crown Prince of the Devil World is just a title. Qiao Xiao comforted himself. In this way, Qiao Xiao shut himself in his house and cultivated. Every day, he would argue with Kang Ming and Kang Xiaoming about cultivation. Although he made a lot of progress every day, he still hadn't reached the point where he could summon a meteorite. The golden bead could already slowly move from his dantian, but when it moved to his chest, it was stuck. On this day, 2 uninvited guests came to Qiao Xiao's house. They were dressed in police uniforms. As soon as they came up, they showed Uncle Wu their IDs, which startled Uncle Wu. We're old acquaintances. The people who came were Officer Zhang and his assistant. As soon as Qiao Xiao showed up, he heard Officer Zhang's hearty laughter. Qiao Xiao, I didn't expect to see you again. It's really fate. Officer Zhang shouted when he saw Qiao Xiao and gave him a big hug. Qiao Xiao was also very happy to see Officer Zhang. What brings you here? Is there any progress in my case? Officer Zhang scratched his head embarrassedly. Well, you've really stumped me. There's still no progress in your case. Now that I've been transferred here, the case has been handed over to another officer. But there's not much hope. After all, it's been so long. In fact, Qiao Xiao already knew who attacked him, but there was no need to tell Officer Zhang. Young man, long time no see. You seem to have grown more handsome. Officer Zhang directly skipped the topic. Qiao Xiao was wearing a simple casual outfit today. The material was soft and comfortable, and it wrapped around his body. The white with blue flowers made Qiao Xiao's skin look even fairer, and his eyes look even deeper. It was no wonder that Officer Zhang praised him. During this period of time, he had been constantly cultivating, and with the burning of the internal fire, all the impurities and toxins in his body had been completely removed. Because of this, his entire mental state had changed. His skin was like transparent jade, and not a single spot or mole could be seen. There was not even a trace of a flaw. His facial features were already good, and with the jade-like translucency, his whole body was bright and exquisite. Then Officer Zhang, why are you here today? Today actually it's about a new case. Originally, this case had nothing to do with me, but someone reported it, so I have to go through the procedures. What's the report? Is it related to me? Qiao Xiao was a little surprised. Yes, it's about Director Fong. Someone reported that Director Fong fell down the mountain when he was helping the poor. It was you. Qiao Xiao's face was full of confusion. Who reported it? That's nonsense. Qiao Xiao, don't worry. I also believe you. But since someone reported it, we still have to go through the procedures. So today, I brought my assistant to find you to understand the situation. Okay, I'll cooperate. If there's anything I know, I'll tell you. Qiao Xiao was a little hesitant. He did not want to tell Officer Zhang about cultivation. After all, it was a little strange. He was not a cultivator, so he could not understand it at all. Then can you tell us what happened after Director Fong went to the poverty alleviation village that day? Officer Zhang signaled his assistant to start taking notes. That day, Officer Zhang went to the village. At night, he said that he wanted to stay. Because there was only one house for so many of us, we had to share a room with several people. In the end, Director Fong decided that he wanted to share a room with me, and the others would share a room with 3 people. Why did Director Fong choose you? I'm not sure about that. He said that he wanted to understand the students' thoughts in depth. Then did anything strange happen at night? Officer Zhang continued to ask. When we returned to the room at night, we did not say anything and went straight to bed. In the middle of the night, I suddenly saw Director Zhang get up as if there was a voice outside calling for him. Then he walked out. I thought that he was going to relieve himself, but after waiting for a long time, he did not come back. Then I also heard clanking sounds. Previously, the villagers told us not to go out in the middle of the night, but I did not know if Director Fong knew about this. So I went out to look for him. Later, I did not see him around the house. I heard clanking sounds again. Later, I did not know what happened, but I followed the sound forward. When I woke up again, I had fainted on the mountain. Later, a classmate of mine saved me. Xiao Xiao hesitated again and again. In the end, he did not tell the truth. He simply explained it according to the villager's story. Officer Zhang was confused. Is there something strange in that village? Yes, that village is very strange. They are the guardians of the Empress's tomb, and they have lived there for generations. They heard that the Empress would patrol the mountain at night, and they would often hear strange sounds. So the villagers repeatedly told me not to go out at night. Officer Zhang did not believe in this kind of supernatural thing. This was the first time he had heard of such superstition. Xiao Xiao, don't try to fool me. How can there be such a strange thing? This was Officer Zhang's instinct as a police officer. He started to doubt Xiao Xiao's words. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Xiao Xiao seriously. Officer Zhang, you have to believe me. If you don't believe me, you can go to the village to investigate. The village is basically isolated from the rest of the world. For generations, they have lived by that belief. Many things have become supernatural after so many years. Xiao Xiao was telling the truth. This was his personal experience. If he was not the prince of the demon world, he would have been scared by these things. Then are you injured? When I woke up, I was injured. My whole body was bruised, but it was not serious. I'm fine now. Were you really attracted to the mountain by something? Officer Zhang confirmed with him again. Yes, that is indeed the case. Xiao Xiao also stared into Officer Zhang's eyes. It was a competition of psychological strength. To tell a lie, one had to have several lies to cover it up. Xiao Xiao did not want to cause any more trouble. Officer Zhang stared at Xiao Xiao's eyes for a long time, trying to determine whether he was telling the truth or not. But Xiao Xiao's eyes were clear. It did not look like he was lying at all. Do you know Director Fong before? Officer Zhang's assistant asked. Director Fong came to our school for a survey before, but we have not had any contact after that. Xiao Xiao said honestly. Then, do you know his family? Do you know that his grandson has died recently? The assistant continued to ask. Xiao Xiao was confused. I don't know him at all. How would I know that his grandson is dead? Officer Zhang and the assistant looked at each other. It seemed that Xiao Xiao and Director Fong were indeed strangers. The two did not have any interactions. What was the informant trying to say? What was the motive of Xiao Xiao wanting to kill Director Fong? Before Officer Zhang left, he said to Xiao Xiao, "We will continue to investigate this matter. During this time, you should not leave Nanchuan because no matter what, only you and Director Fong ended up in the same room. You are the most suspicious." Xiao Xiao was speechless. He wanted to kill me, but I couldn't explain it in the end. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.